What is that, Chase? Oh, nice. All right, and welcome to episode 141 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me once again this week with everyone returning, we've got Rachel.
Hello.
With a naked dog. Perfectly timed. Chase.
G'day.
Steven.
Well, hello.
And I'm waiting for him to actually play fighting games with me again, Chris.
Goodbye, dog. Hello, everyone else.
Oh, man, it's been a fun, eventful week. Last week was stressful because it was just me, Chase, and Steven, and we tried doing a double feature recording 2 different shows. I'm still editing the second one, the extra quarter we did about Gears of War. You could tell I was getting tired.
Like, psychopaths.
You know
I can't believe you did that in one shot.
You know the combo breaker,
Yeah.
the double feature.
Towards the end, he was like, and Marcus saves the princess, and then Locust Bowser goes to the swamp.
Well, and this is what's funny, I hadn't filled out all the notes yet, and we're like, we'll figure it out. And of course, my brain's like, you're going to forget names now.
Hat
So I had to
goes
keep
on
asking
foot.
you guys what were-
Farkas Phoenix.
Yeah. I was like, that guy. Chase, which one was it?
Chase was the expert for this.
Yeah.
That guy.
He's like 2 minutes into the game. There's this guy who walked across the camera.
I felt
There's a war, and there's some gears.
there's a chainsaw. I know that much. I just kept flashing the Marcus Phoenix figure all the time. Like, look, this guy. I felt it was kind of rough at the end. Of course, I was so tired I didn't know. Steven was like, no, it sounds fine. Keep it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to edit it and keep it. Whatever. So, yeah, that'll be one that'll pop up sometime later this year. I might be using it more towards around the Halloween time because there's some Ghostbusters events. They want me to go to like the haunted house stuff here. And if I end up doing that and we don't have a show that week, I'm going to save it for that. Feels like a good time period to drop it, I think. So, but beyond that, we'll jump into what we've been up to because it's been a little while. Steven, we'll start with you because we know, well, the first thing you're going to mention that you always mention.
Before I go to sleep every night, it's Zenless Zone Zero and Multiverses. However, after getting the Beetlejuice costume for the Iron Giant,
oh my God, I have
hit a wall right now where I have to wait for the next thing to unlock. Same thing with ZZZ. All I'm doing now is grinding. There's nothing to do. I've completed the games, and not even spending money would help. So I just have to wait. So because of that, I decided to go to the demo section and get a bunch of demos for Switch. So I played, because I recognized the characters, I played the Holy Gosh Darn demo because I loved the game Manual Samuel. I played the other one. What was it, Chris, again?
Helheim Hassel.
Okay, where you can control each body part as well, like detach them. But this one, you're dealing with angels in heaven with the end of the world coming or the end of everything coming. But it deals with time travel in a very interesting way because you have to keep rewinding the game because in 6 hours the world and everything ends. So you learn and you make actual put a pin in it to go back to a certain time because you have to keep talking to people, and because your character's self-aware, your conversation choices change to like yeah hurry up or I hate you. So you have to learn to interrupt people or learn to walk away.
And it's been done before too, because there's a game called Disgaea Infinite where a Prinny has that power and he has to stop the netherworld from blowing up or something.
But it takes place in the same multiverse of Manual Samuel and the Helheim game. If you like time travel, play that one. If you like having to do everything for a human, play Manual Samuel. That one's really fun too because you have to control everything he does.
The humor in all 3 of them is great.
Next, I went into Bakaru, the successor spiritually to Goemon Mystical Ninja, and I really loved that one. because it gives you like facts about Japan. You can collect collectibles that are real items from Japan as well. Tells you what they're about. And it's got a unique control scheme, so I really liked it. It's got all the, without spoiling the demo, it's got a lot of modes that the N64 Mystical Ninja had, so I was glad to see those kind of come back, but in a better fashion. It's one of those games that runs really well, looks a little bit simple, but it's because the gameplay is like to another level because it's good feel. It's the Yoshi's.
Okay.
Oh.
No, that just got me even more interested now.
Yeah,
I like their work.
It's good feel, so that's why it's really good. Next, I played Shadow of the Ninja Reborn, which I did not expect that game to animate pixel as well as like Metal Slug would.
Oh wow! Okay,
it was a good successor to the original Super Nintendo one. So because now you can play, NES one, so you can still play 2 players. But yeah, there's a lot of moves you can do in it, and it was a lot of fun. And I was just like, okay, you can do 1 level, beat a boss, then it tells you to get the full game, which is like under $30. I think it's like $20 digitally, so that's not bad. Lastly, and this came out for everything, I think, was Gory Cuddly Carnage. It's basically Blinks the cat on a hoverboard, except there's all these cute unicorns that have been infected, so you have to kill them all. And you can turn your board into like a lawnmower blade. You can cut off their heads. You can throw the unicorn skulls into each other. It's very, very, very bloody, to the point where it got censored in Japan. They had to change the color of the blood.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
But it was a lot of fun. They make the cat look super realistic and everything, while everything else is just really like
cartoony,
crazy out there.
Looks like Blinks. Blinks the Time Sweeper got pissed off and he's starting to destroy things.
It's like Blinks the Time Sweeper meets like Alice the Madness.
Alice Madness Returns, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Because everything's just like super freaky and dark and bloody and stuff like that.
None of that is ever a combination I thought I would ever hear.
So I think there is a physical coming, so I'm going to be waiting for that because I actually enjoyed it. It wasn't bad.
I may have to give it a shot.
Yeah, it looks like you can pre-order it most places,
Nice.
including Ye Old Stop of Game.
So we'll go ahead and move on then. Rachel, what about you? What have you been up to? What you been doing?
My goodness. Well, I picked up Outer Wilds and Visions of Mana yesterday, and I actually streamed Visions of Mana today. It's a very good game, very pretty. The music is gorgeous. I could just sit there and listen to the music and not even play the game. That's how good the music is. While I was there picking that up, I think I also pre-ordered something. I don't remember what it was right now. Like I have so many games on pre-order, I'm losing track.
Money changed hands. Something will be coming to me eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I have my printout over there on my shelf with the dates written on them.
You blacked out and proceeded with capitalism.
Basically. But what was funny that what happened there is I came in and I was picking up my games and the manager offered me a job. And I was like, sweetie, you can't afford me. I could work 1 day a week and you'd have to pay me a minimum of this amount to get me to come in. And he was like, yeah, I can't do that. And I go, I know. And
it's not worth it anymore.
And then he goes, he's like, if I was allowed to make those decisions, I would hire you on the spot though. And I was like, you know what? You're a good guy. I'll keep coming here. But that was really funny. So, but other than that, I finished Wish You Were Here last weekend when I was on vacation, when I wasn't on the show.
Right.
My immediate reaction to it was, oh my God, that was so much fun, but what in the hell did I just play?
What kind of game is it? I've heard the name, but I'm not familiar with the title. She's like, I can't explain this.
It's hard to explain. Chris,
Fair enough.
Steven, do you have any? Because y'all are the two that recommended it to me, so.
Do you mean thank goodness you're here?
Thank goodness you're here.
I thought you mixed it with We Were Here, and I was like, where did you play it?
Yeah.
Oh, one or the other.
Yeah, thank goodness you're here. Sorry. It's
Okay.
I've been playing a lot of games.
No, it's basically a Imagine if you could take part in an entire season of Monty Python sketches.
Mixed
That
with Benny
is-
Hill
Yeah.
humor
So
too.
that is all you had to tell me.
Okay,
I will
so-
have
Some
this
Benny Hill
as
humor
soon
that
as
you
possible.
don't expect to see either, because you're
There-
like, wait.
There are 3 words that I'm gonna say to you that I'm not gonna give you context for, okay? That you will laugh when you happen upon it. And all I'm gonna say is smacky bum bum. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
That does sound very much Monty Python.
Yes, it's a game that you should either watch a playthrough of or more hopefully play through, because it is absolutely worth every minute if you enjoy British comedy.
You
It
only
was
have
so funny.
you only have 2 actions, and that's jump and smack. And a lot of times, to make people keep talking, you have to smack them.
Yeah.
And if you smack them too much and they start just going, ooh, ooh, ow, ooh, then you're like, okay, you have nothing more to
Yeah,
say.
so that's how you know they're done, when you start hearing
I would encourage you to smack everything in the game,
Everything.
because you never know what they're going to say. Because without spoiling it, some of the funniest moments is in one of the stores when you're trying to smack all the fish, and he's like, not that one.
Yeah, this reminds me of the absurdity of There Is No Game, which I actually played that on stream, the entire thing in one run.
Yeah.
It was worth it and hilarious. But is this digital only, or is it getting a physical release?
Right now, it's digital only.
It's digital, yeah. But
Okay. I still want to check it out. But
on
continue,
YouTube,
Rachel.
it came across my like For You thing. There's a behind the scenes with the two guys, like the main developers, and they described it with, you know, they I think they used the word, they did bring up Monty Python, and they also used the words Venn diagram and having a very narrow scope of what they were going to include in the game based on their like mutual thought.
The game is like nothing you've ever played, I would say.
That's what it sounds like.
Insane.
I also have to say thank you to Chris for being another person who has to make your corrected on something.
I was gonna fix it. Jesus Christ.
I'm just thinking about it too. I saw him fixing it in the notes, and I was like,
so
he's
I
one of us.
already noticed it, but I was talking, so I'm not gonna talk and type at the same time, because apparently
it's nothing
that's
bad,
rude.
Rachel. I just thought it was really funny.
So
You asked us to fix the name, we fixed the name.
anyway,
Oh, that's great.
and so anyway, but Jacksepticeye even played it and enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So but it's I almost want to play it again because I feel like I miss stuff.
Nice.
Or it's one of those games you want to play once you know where to go,
Mm-hmm.
in front of somebody, just to show them all the jokes too.
Yeah. Oh, it's hilarious.
When I first got it, Chris ran out of the room. He's like, I gotta go get this because I don't want to ruin the jokes for myself.
Oh,
That's how you can tell it's good, is when you want to just run and play it yourself.
Jeremy, I almost want to say that you should stream that just so we can all sit in the comments and watch your reactions.
If I buy this, I'll do that after one of the games we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah. But I also picked up Mika and the Witch's Mountain. I don't know if you guys.
How is that? I keep seeing it on the demos for Switch.
So it's cute. It's very Kiki's Delivery Service, but the flying mechanic, you don't really fly, you more glide. And it can be a bit, it's very what I'd call slippery. If you know what I mean.
So it's like floaty.
It's very
around?
floaty, and but it's not. It's there's some precision involved. But if you do one little thing wrong, it can totally throw off your flight path and ruin your whole delivery. Thankfully, though, if you ruin your delivery, you can respawn it at the very beginning of where you started, and then have to, of course, restart, but with no repercussions other than you having to fly all the way back over there. It's very cute. The character designs are really nice. And it's got a lot going for it, but I felt that just the flying mechanics could have used a little more work. I get that it's supposed to be kind of challenging or feel challenging, but that's what I find. That's my one criticism of a lot of platformers these days, is when they try to intentionally be challenging and like to a point where it impacts gameplay in a negative way. This is not in a negative way necessarily. It's just really annoying, where I felt that it could have used a little more tweaking, where if you're going to have a witch flying on a broom, make it flying on a broom, not gliding, even though she's a child. So that was my one criticism so far, and I've not gotten very far in the game. But I also have been playing new Super Lucky's Tale, which I love. I
It's
love
a
that
great
game.
It's
so
a very
much.
underrated Microsoft game.
It is very underrated. If you haven't already picked it up on like whatever platform you want to play it on, I highly recommend it. It is just a really solid platformer. It's not hard, but it's just good. It does have some challenging bits, like when you have to collect the multicolor coins under a time limit. It really, that time limit is very narrow.
Yeah, it reminds me of like peak Spyro Crash Banjo type games.
Like they did very good with it. And I had also picked up KO Kangaroo, but I have not played as much of that as I have New Super Lucky's Tale, because I'm enjoying that one so much that I'm playing that one a lot.
Microsoft, it was kind of a misstep. They could have taken the Super Lucky's Tale as like a kids mascot if they were doing like a kids side of Xbox or of their gaming. They could have really used that as a way to push it, and they just kind of buried it.
Yeah, there is so much story in there that could be told. They they mention all these like other characters that are part of the like family and stuff like that. I'm like, I want to know about all these people. Like they could have done another game in a kids game in this style with these characters. They could have used that whole Super Lucky's like family to do a whole range of games of different genres just for kids. And just, hindsight's 2020, I guess. And the other thing that I'm doing is I'm streaming all the Monkey's Island games on my Twitch. So I've restarted that. I played some of that last night, and that was fun. So I'm starting at the very beginning. I'm playing even the ones that the original developers don't like too much. So I might even play the Telltale stuff.
That's what I was gonna say. The ones that they don't like too much are those.
Yes, that's part of it. And I actually didn't pay a dime for the Telltale ones because a friend of mine that I went to college with said, "This looked right up your alley. Here you go. Here's all the episodes." And I went,
"So, which one are you up to
on the Monkey Island?"
Yeah.
I've just restarted the first one, so I myself personally have played through the first like 2.5.
I won't spoil it, but you should really stream the part in real time where you can die.
Oh, yeah.
Because nobody expects that.
No, nobody expects that. I mean, when I got to the end of the second one, my jaw like dropped on the floor. I remember playing it for the first time, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
That was just one of those things like he says in passing, and you're like, I'm gonna try it, and then it's actually a recurring joke later, so it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. No, it's such a also very underrated game, and it re-seeing the I almost said advertisement, re-seeing the advertisement for Loom in the game got me interested in playing Loom, which is
ask me about Loom.
That is, that is such a good game too. But yeah, that's
such a great way to advertise another title.
It is. It really is. I love it when games get into their own like meta. So, but
all right, Chase, you're up next. What have you been doing?
Shanoa bought Star Wars Outlaws.
Ooh, how's she like it?
I missed that.
I mean, it's good. Like, the game looks good. Like, she enjoyed playing it. The only thing that, I mean, I'm not entirely sold on it completely.
Neither is Suki, apparently.
But I didn't watch her like get past. I think she was like doing the tutorial part and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I will say though is, just from what I saw, the lockpicking mechanic in that game looks absolutely ass. on a
scale of 1 to Magic School game that we don't talk about, where the lockpicking mechanic was so annoying that the PC playing community that plays it on PC created a mod just to bypass it. How bad is it?
I wouldn't be surprised if the PC community does something similar to this
one,
because
I don't know why games have to make their lockpicking mechanics so asinine.
That'd be a fun big question, is like our most loved and most hated lockpicking mechanics, because I actually do have a list. I could think of a couple.
I mean, the thing with this one is that it's just like there's no conveyance as to like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to do it. Like,
yeah,
this is like, and they even have like a help menu that you can pop up to, like, that tells you how to do it or whatever stuff, but then it's still confusing. It doesn't really make sense. It was odd, like, because she was getting confused at one point. She just got so confused that she started to just like start hitting the R2 button and just keep clicking it until it finally like just said you got it. So it was, yeah.
The two most interesting things that I've seen out of that game, by the way, is the interactions with your little pet companion thing, where you could point your blaster at it and it will eventually like play dead. Like you'll make a pew noise and it'll fall and go, Wah! and then the other one is if you pet another animal,
yes, it gets pissed.
The stink eye. Oh my god! So that's cute.
Yeah, Shinoa did that. She petted another animal and it just gave her this look, and then I think the character says something to like, "Oh, calm down" or something like that. Like it was funny. But the game overall, like, I mean, it looks, like I said, aesthetically looks great, as you would expect. The sound is actually pretty good. That's one thing that there's not a lot of credit that could be given to Ubisoft sometimes, but one thing I'll give them credit is they do typically do sound fairly well. And yeah, overall it's not bad. I probably a little bit disappointed that she didn't wait a little bit longer to get it, but I think she could have saved a little bit of money, but it is what it is.
As long as she's enjoying it, I mean, I get that.
Yeah, she's a big Star Wars fan. She didn't
get hit with the bug though, did she?
Huh?
She didn't get hit with that bug though, did she?
No, not yet. At least I haven't.
There's a bug that if you had early access to the game, that when the game came out, your save file didn't work.
I saw that. And
she didn't get early access to it.
I was just like, thank goodness they didn't develop Space Marine 2.
Yeah, she didn't get early access to that. A game I've been looking at is Black Myth Wukong. I haven't actually played it yet though, but it looks good. And no, we're going to be talking a little bit more about it later, but I mean, the game looks good. I'm interested, so I'm not sure yet if I'm going to dabble in it or not. On the D&D front, our campaign continued on Friday, and we we are in the Underdark now.
Ooh,
which is fun. So we're about to save a town of, and I'll completely murder the name, but Smurfnablin.
Smurf. That's nice.
Or Deep Gnomes, as they're also known.
I recently purchased a single player tabletop RPG called 1,000-Year-Old Vampire. That it's like a journaling kind of one. And it made me like think of all the your campaign that you've got going on and all that different things. So I'll probably try that out eventually. It's sitting on my shelf right over there.
Yeah, ours went well too, Chase. At one point I almost died so many times that Christian felt bad for me.
One day
I'm just here not playing D&D.
He gave me a second. He gave me a second wind for pity.
I don't
play Baldur's Gate.
I don't play D&D.
Once they make crossplay for Baldur's Gate, we do need to do a campaign.
I don't really.
That was already a thing.
No. I already own it twice.
I don't really play D&D because there's too much rules and it makes me nervous. But
which is weird because Rachel, you seem like the perfect candidate for D&D. Just the way you are, the characters you like to make, like you would be right in there.
If I didn't have to,
with a good DM and using the website like Roll20 and stuff like that, it is a lot easier than I have done in the past.
I agree with that, but it still stresses me out.
Gotcha. I just mean personality-wise, you seem like it would be a.
Oh no, I would love to play it, but I'd have to. It would have to be a very caring DM that is fine with explaining a lot to me all the time because I am not experienced at all. My experience is Monster of the Week. One day I'll get in a Monster of the Week game that is an actual campaign and not a connected group of one-shots.
Well, maybe you and I should get together and figure something out, Rachel, because I've been having trouble getting D&D also. We'll make this happen somehow.
Or if you're new to it, like Christian did to our other friends, try Risus or find people who are hosting Risus games because those are entirely like easier. It's without the amount of things that you have to worry about.
Gotcha.
I don't like playing with people I don't know. So, yeah.
The biggest thing for me, probably with this, because this is my first campaign, is that the campaign that we're playing is called, I think it's called Tales of the Golden Vault, and or Keys to the Golden Vault. I can't remember.
There's a golden
but
vault involved somehow.
yeah, it's not your typical like box standard D&D campaign. Probably it's not like your typical dungeon crawl. And to the DM, I think you're right. Like having a good DM that's like understanding, that's experienced, and can train, knows how to explain things to like newer players, is pretty important, because that's what we have. And Jay's been really good about that with me, so that's been really nice.
Yeah, I'm experienced with not having a good one, because the only time we got to play here for one of the game nights did not go well, because that guy had no patience and was even telling me in my house at my own table what dice I'm allowed to use.
Yeah.
I was looking at him going, what?
So yeah, that's been going good. And that's kind of sums it up for me, actually.
Okay. All right, well then we'll move on then. Chris, what about you? What have you been doing? What you been up to?
Well, I picked up Persona 3 Reload again. I've been playing that for the third time now.
That is an apt name for a game for you. You just keep reloading it back into the system.
Well, because Steve likes to play games by osmosis, I'm just getting back to the point where, he can play the game without actually having to deal with it. I'm trying to finish it before episode Aegis comes out, because otherwise he won't know what the hell is going on. To be fair, he still doesn't know what the hell is going on, but that's Persona 3's fault.
Yes, it is. I keep asking you questions, and you're like, I don't know.
The plot doesn't start until about halfway into the game. They fixed that in the later ones, thankfully.
Wow. Yeah, I remember because I bought the game, and I remember booting it up, and I don't remember who I messaged, but I went, I have no idea. No, I talked to my friend Andrew, who loves Persona, and he goes, how is it? Are you enjoying it? And I go, I have no idea what's going on.
Like, it's pretty and it's crisp.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Persona 4 does a better job of explaining things. Persona 5 does the best job.
I think 4 is when I started like playing it a lot more, and then 5 I was playing a good portion until you were like, I beat it 5 times. I was like, all right, just play it in front of me.
Just 3. I only beat it 3 times. Anyway, I've also gotten back into Smash Brothers Ultimate. After playing Multiversus, I really wanted to play a real fighting game again. So. Yeah.
I just wish it had good online so you and I could play, because I miss playing Smash Brothers with friends.
There is that.
But the online is shit.
Well, right now I'm just trying to remember how to play. And Multiversus is a beautiful game, but it is not a good fighting game. You know that as a Multiversus devotee, Steve. You have complained to me about many of its failings.
I think it's the stage's fault.
It's more than the stage's fault. But in any case, aside from that, the other game I picked up is the Castlevania Dominus Collection. Because
I want to play it. How is it?
It's great. I'm worried about the touchscreen controls for Portrait of Ruin, because there are moments where you actually have to, touch the screen and stop stuff from happening. But they did they fixed the glyph mechanics in Dawn of Sorrow, so it's just button presses. Much easier.
Oh. So, I was wondering how that was going to work when you're playing it like on a TV with a Pro controller or something.
Yeah. You can change the view settings too, depending on where you want the second screen.
Oh, you can change that. Okay,
because it shows that Konami or whoever helped develop this version, that there is a really good way to play DS games on Switch.
Yes,
or on everything now.
We've seen it with Gunvolt before, so that's something.
That's true.
So, yes, I've been playing a lot of Order of Ecclesia thanks to that, which is one of my favorite of the DS ones. So, there you go. That's what I've been doing.
The Game Boy Advance and DS Castlevania is still the golden age of those games for me. Like, I know Symphony Night's great, but...
So what you're saying is they should put more DS ports onto the Switch.
I think we can all agree to that.
Yeah,
I think we can.
Yeah, and don't forget, there's 15 Castlevania games on Switch, but 0 of them are Symphony of the Night.
Which is still weird. It's still so weird to me.
Nintendo got a Nintendo. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't think it's Nintendo's call. That's the thing.
Yeah, where's my Disney Afternoon collection, Capcom?
Yeah, there's some weird ones.
Capcom is very silly. We love.
I want to play DuckTales 1 and 2.
Capcom is silly, but we'll talk about more of what they released in a bit. All right, so on to mine before we finish up this. I am still addicted to Starfield, especially since that damn buggy came out, because it is so much fun. I've been leaping around low gravity planets like Dukes of Hazzard. And the great thing is your companion will respond to that where I'm just flying off of the things. But it's little tweaks that have made it so much better for exploration. Like I will eat my own words on this. I had no problem with walking around the environments because you still had, I know people are like, oh, it's a limited amount of space. These are giant areas you can get to. Like the maps are ridiculous, even when it generates it. And, walking around to stuff can be neat, but the buggy has made me explore more. I'm not going to lie. I get in there, you can tag places, you can tag, parts of the environment or creatures while you're driving. So you don't have to stop and get out and do stuff. It even has a basic little weapon that you can enhance as you level up some of your stuff. So you can use it functionally without having to get in and out of it all the time. But I'll see something in the distance, go drive over there to it, explore, drive to something else. And it's made me do that. The key difference is you can't fast travel in it to locations you've been to, but no matter how much weight you're carrying, even if you're over encumbered and you get in the buggy, you can always fast travel back to your ship. So it's made hoarding way worse because I'm just like, well, I can get this gun. I might enhance it later. I'll take this guy's suit and his space suit, and I come walking out just carrying way too much shit. So that's been great. You can customize the paint on it as well. So of course it's multiple shades of green. Shocking. I know. That's how it is for me. Next up, I'm still playing Cult of the Lamb on Switch, and that game is dark and hilarious. And I have killed such adorable little creatures because I needed them for things. So
all the DLC's on sale right now too.
Oh God, I'm gonna have to break down and get that. I was holding off and just gonna play it and see how far I go, but
because the DLC's like up to 60% off. I had to favorite a bunch of them to go.
I'll check it out then, because I am really liking the game, which is good. That kind of reminds me. So I'll ask you guys about this. The Thank Goodness You're Here. Mm-hmm. It's the same cost on Steam as it is on Switch. Which one do you think I should get? Because I'm gonna be able to play. Go ahead.
I mean, if you're buying it for fun, but also like intending to stream it, mm-hmm. If there may be the chance that there might be a physical edition out at some point, maybe not get it on Switch and get it on PC.
That's a good argument. Okay, that's probably the best one to get it, because if it does come out, I'm not double dipping on the same hardware, because I can still play it portably on my Steam Deck. So yeah, see, Rachel coming in with logic.
I'm smart.
See, smart. So
is good. Is good.
I found our sound effects again, by the way. Next up, I went out last night. Instead of sitting at my house, my friend Brent and his wife told me to come join them downtown because they've rebuilt everything in Panama City. And I decided instead of sitting here playing Starfield, I would actually go out and do something, and ended up back at an arcade. And I will post this video on the Discord for us to watch. No one else is seeing this, but they filmed me playing DDR with Brent, because we used to do this all the time when we lived together. And it was funny, but I can still play DDR, so that's good.
That seems like, is this the same Brent that I'm thinking of?
Not the Brent from GameStop. This is the Brent I've known since we were kids.
Okay, different Brent.
Yeah, I don't think you know this Brent.
I don't think so.
No. I never refer to the other Brent you're thinking of. We don't get along. Yeah. Next up, I don't know if I mentioned this last episode or not, but I went and saw Alien Romulus. And I did really enjoy it. I get that some people were kind of picking at it a little bit, and there were tie-ins to the different films. One line in particular people are upset about, but I thought it was kind of funny how they did it, because it's an android trying to make this statement, because yes, it is something that's said in an earlier movie with more gusto. He says it very awkwardly because he has been insulted with this the entire time and thinks this is how you insult something when he's killing an alien. I thought that was funny, and I get they kind of forced the joke, but beyond that, it's good. It's a fun romp in the universe of Aliens, and it doesn't have to be, all the other stuff. It can just be exploring that universe, and I think it's good for that. If we
he
see
had good
more
inspiration.
Say what?
He had good inspiration. He played Alien Isolation.
Yes. And this
Yes.
one thing to look for, and I found this out afterwards, and I want to watch it again. The way you would save the game in Alien Isolation is there's a phone booth that was on the wall. So you would save the game before stuff happened. If you watch the movie, you'll actually see that phone booth hidden in different places before shit goes down as their way of saying, hey, stuff's about to happen. And I thought that was a fun little Easter egg to find out about. It doesn't really spoil the movie because I didn't notice them all at first.
There's also a non-plot connection between that and the Last of Us TV series that blows people's minds.
You'll have to tell me about that one later because I don't know about that. That's great. So, the other thing I meant to mention before, but I kind of slipped my mind, is I played the Funko Fusion demo. And, damn it, the game's actually fun. I'm going to have to buy it.
I know the game is coming to Switch, but the demo is not yet on Switch.
The demo is only on Steam, and it is not compatible with the Steam Deck, I found out. It requires Windows.
Interesting.
But I'm probably going to get it on Xbox because the Switch version doesn't look bad. But since they're all supposed to have the same amount of content, it does look really nice on PS5 and Series X and PC because it does take advantage of that shiny, plasticky look to everything and all the detail. And there's a lot of little things. I kind of wonder how that frame rate's going to be. So
it's the same reason, like, even though I don't play Power Wash on Switch because I like the shininess, the gleaming, because I want it to really look clean. So that's why I go for that version too. If
I get it on Switch, it's only going to be kind of like how the Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, I got that originally on Xbox, and it's absolutely great. But then I found it on sale for Switch, and they did a really good job on that port. Like, it's a good version of the game if you play it. But I kind of have a feeling that the developers for this may not put that much work into it as the Lego people do.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I could be wrong. And if that's the case, great. But we'll see. Lastly, the game I've been streaming is Star Trek Resurgence, my copy for Xbox I went and picked up. So I was happy to find that. And I decided to actually stream this one as I play through for the first time. The game's being made by ex-Telltale developers, so it's very much a Telltale style game where you're kind of making your choices as you go along. Rachel was laughing at stuff with me while I was playing it, including our captain bring me pictures of Spider-Man, because I swear to God, they just took J. Jonah Jameson's face and slapped him in a captain's uniform. It just looks just like him.
It does.
Mustache and all.
It really does. The moment I saw him, I was like, oh my God.
But you play that one, you're a new replacement first officer, and then you also switch between her and one of the engineers on the ship. And as you're doing stuff, it changes, how it's going on, your relationships with people. They let you at any time look and see what the ratio of your choices are compared to everybody else, which is kind of cool. So once you make a choice, you can see how popular your choice was versus, others.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a fun little bonus just to have. Doesn't change the story. You can't go back and change what you did, but it's a nice extra. So yeah, I know that's one you just got, Steven. So I'm curious to see what you do in this for different choices, because I have a feeling we're going to play it differently. So, all right. So we'll go ahead then and move on to our news. So starting off this week with the news is a bit of sad news. Andrew Greenberg, the co-creator of Wizardry series, passed away at 67. Wizardry Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord was one of the first games that let you actually control a whole party in an RPG. It was kind of an inspiration for a lot of developers, both in the United States, Europe, and Japan on RPGs back in the day. He later went on to help co-create the Star Saga series before he moved into intellectual property law in Florida. But he apparently kept dealing with computer programming and stuff as he went along. but it was a sad announcement for that, because I've actually been messing with the Wizardry, the NES edition that I had picked up recently, playing it on my Nintendo, and kind of bad timing on that, I guess, for finally getting into it, and then the creator passes, and I'm like, oh, that's bad. So I don't know. Any of you guys ever play any of the Wizardry games?
I played them for my Commodore 64, and it had some of the best music I'll ever hear.
I wish I could have. I never got a chance to play much on the
It
Commodore 64.
had a theme song for each enemy you encountered, and it was wonderful.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna show Christian some of the songs later. Now that I've just gotten inspired in my head.
Well, I know the other thing, when you beat the first Wizardry, the wizard you faced at the end was the wizard Wordna, which is just Andrew backwards, which is kind of a fun little bit. So I guess he'll live on as the main enemy in those games. So he will be missed. All right, next up. All right, so Hideki Itsuno. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm bad
Close
about
enough.
Japanese names.
Close enough.
Yep, we'll go with that. He is leaving Capcom after a 30-year placement there to make a new game in a new environment, is what he had stated. He was the director for Devil May Cry 3 through 5, Dragon's Dogma 1 and 2. He's also known for a lot of the classics like Star Gladiator, Rival Schools, Power Stone 1 and 2, Darkstalkers PSP, Capcom vs. SNK 2, which is a great one, and a bunch more. So it's a pretty big creator and director from Capcom heading out. So that sucks.
It makes me think that the announcement we'll talk about later may have been rushed because of him.
Maybe that was part of it. You know, he's like, all right, do this or I'm going to leave. All right, we're doing it. All right, cool. Too late. You can't turn around. I'm leaving anyways. Gotcha.
You go that way. I'll go home.
There you go. You got my stuff. All right. So we'll move into the meat and potatoes of this episode, and pretty much what we're talking about for the rest of it, other than the big question. So, hey, you know what's better than a Nintendo Direct? 2 of the damn things back to back, and Nintendo was crazy enough to do it. So we had both the Nintendo Indie World Showcase as well as the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase back to back earlier this week. So we're going to start with the Indie Showcase first, and we're going to go through a few. You guys will raise your hands virtually on the screen. The rest of you can't see it. A little behind baseball there. And we'll just talk about which games we're interested in as we go through it. So to start off, we had Baltro Friends of Jimbo Expansion, which is free out now if you have the game. Basically, it's the card game. Baltro is now adding in stuff from Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt, Vampire Survivors, Dave the Diver, and Among Us, which was nice. And it seems like they brought in a lot of the voice actors and stuff from them. They've got mechanics from each of the games, things like that, which is good. Anybody here actually play Baltro?
I haven't pre-ordered.
No.
I'm waiting for the physical.
I wonder if the physical, depending on where it's at, if they're going to hold off and add the DLC to it. One can hope.
I think it shipped for a lot of people, so I don't know. But it comes with playing cards, so I was like, I'm sold.
Oh, that's neat. Next up, we had Neva coming October 15th from the makers of Greece. I never know how to pronounce that one either. Very pretty looking game, but I have to see some more about it to kind of figure out the mechanics of it. It felt very moody, and that was about it. Next, we had Moth Cubit coming spring 2025, which is Corporate Bugs. Rachel's got something about this one. Go for it.
Oh my god. It looks so like it's got just variety in it. Like it's got RPG stuff, it's got just a bunch of different things going on. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, he's a little guy, he's a moth guy, and I'm like, oh crap, there's bugs. Oh crap, they're in an office building. Oh crap. And every time they'd show something more, I'm like, I have to play this game. This looks fun. So I'm excited for that one.
Sounds like it. I'm curious to try it. I'll probably wait and see how your reactions are when it comes out.
It looks spooky too, which is good.
Yeah.
But not too spooky.
I'm just curious what kind of bugs will show up, because I always loved insects. This next one, I think Steven wanted to talk about some, but it's Coffee Talk Tokyo coming in 2025. Steven, you had a little bit on this one?
Yeah, so what people may have forgotten because it's been a couple years was the creator and developer of the original Coffee Talk, Mohammed Fahmy. He died in March 2022. I'm not sure of the details.
Right.
But he had a vision of the kind of game he wanted to make, and it's kind of like you're playing through. I don't want to say just a regular visual novel because there's branching paths, but you're kind of like who everybody talks to, and you can give advice, but you also have to make sure if you want to keep them in there to continue their story, you have to do their order right for their what kind of coffee. So they had 2 episodes already, and they're always done in kind of a very unique universes that you're in with unique characters that are not all human at all. But they recently wanted to continue his work. So actually some people who worked with him closely and some localization people banded together. So a person from Japan, UK, and the original developers got together and they're like, we're going to make one based in Tokyo, kind of continues his legacy. I don't know if it's something they're just continuing on with or if they're just finishing his story, but it's more Coffee Talk, so people are excited because it's another universe to work in.
Nice. All right. Well, I don't know if that one's really up my alley for that type of game, but I know a lot of people seem to enjoy them, so hopefully
it's
others will like it.
It can be a very chill game.
Okay.
Like I watched I mean it's got some emotional stuff in it, but the vibes of it is just like, a chill coffee shop.
Plus you get to draw the designs in their lattes. So.
You do. And really? and I will say since I saw the Nintendo Direct and I saw this advertisement, I went, "Oh, Coffee Talk." And one of my friends streams it, and since I've been watching it, I get advertisements for Coffee Talk like games, and I just saw one advertised for Tavern Talk.
Oh, well, there you go.
I will send that to you, Steven, because looks interesting.
I've also mentioned before VA11 Hall A or Valhalla is a good bartending simulator / visual novel.
Yeah, the voice of Gillian Seed is in it somewhere.
I think I have that game. Like I got a hold of like a game collection for something on PC, and I believe that one was included. I just haven't played it.
And on Snatcher Day, I looked up what's Jeff Flipperton been up to. Oh, he's in Valhalla. Now I have to buy the game and play it profusely. Okay, and find him.
Yes. All right. Next up, we have Sea of Stars: Throes of the Watchmaker DLC coming in spring 2025. Another Rachel excited one.
It's such a good game. It was very fun. It was a breath of fresh air. I had been looking forward to it for a while, so I'm glad that they're doing DLC. And free. Exactly.
Yeah, free.
Free is good. Free is always good. You can't go wrong with free. But what made me laugh a little bit, the moment I saw the robot in there, I was like, yes, the robot character from Sonic Adventure DX. And yes, the robot character Omega from Sonic Heroes. Welcome back, buddy. Welcome back.
Oh man.
That's not who he is, mind you. But
okay. I was like, what a crossover.
It just reminded me of it. That's all. So
fair enough. All right. After this, we had Power Wash Simulator Shrek Special Pack coming fall 2024. Not just on Switch. This is coming to all the other versions as well. But I know we like to.
Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
They pull me back in. Yes.
I'm still finishing the Warhammer stuff on Power Wash, but I need to get together with you guys and play some multiplayer again. I miss doing that. It was really fun.
They did a TikTok of all the levels they've added to the music of Nations of the World.
I have some interesting thoughts on some Power Wash stuff that I will not talk about on stream for work-related reasons. So we'll talk about that after the show.
That's a just dark hint at things.
Not really dark,
but it's question.
It's just a pattern I noticed that I was like, I wonder if this could be a thing. And I had an idea for it, but
it could be, but I think They could do so many things. You can power wash anything. That's
you
the beauty of it.
You could, but we'll leave it at that. But I like the power wash games. They're very calming, believe it or not.
Yeah, they're fun to just sit around and talk with people too while you're playing it. But I think the biggest thing we're wondering, and I think Chris, you had the same issue with this, is like after the Back to the Future DLC, where it's like they were promised so much stuff and it ended up being so void of any detail of the actual movie or series. I'm hoping Shrek does not turn out like that. Like I don't expect to see Shrek and Donkey and all those characters.
I hope it's closer to the SpongeBob DLC.
Yeah, the SpongeBob DLC, I thought they did a really good job. And I like the fact in this one, your character is made up to look like one of the knights that's just running around. And I was like, okay, that's a start. You're not just some random guy. You're just a little knight trying to clean up everything. And for some reason, Shrek's swamp is rainbow colored mud.
It's glitter explosion. They said it.
Oh, okay. Glitter.
You got glitter bombed.
That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, a lot of Power Wash Simulator coming from us. Next up, this was actually a highlight for me of the Indie Direct, and that is a game called Morsels, coming out February 2025. It's a weird little game where you play as a creature that ends up being able to change and transform into other creatures while going through this just weird looking world. Steven, go ahead.
Was it me, or towards the end of the trailer did the graphics start to get like claymation or something? Like the graphics were getting crazier than pixel graphics. It was turning into a different graphical style, and I was like, "Where is this game going?"
Yeah, I think it changes, which is great.
Is the character a rat?
I think it.
I think you start as a piece of shit, and then you basically mold into more things.
Okay, well, you start as a rat that eats something that changes it and then lets it absorb and become other creatures.
Okay, so it is a rat. Oh, right.
So rat becomes a piece of shit. Yeah.
So when I was watching the direct on my lunch break, actually, that was the opportunity that I had to watch it. I was watching it with my friend and coworker, whose name is Christian. And we were watching it. I both paused it. And then he was like, "How would you describe this?" And I went, "Rat takes LSD, goes on adventure." And then I said,
"What happens in your stomach when you have food poisoning?"
And I go, "Rat has an acid trip."
And the weirdest cat bus reference at the end.
So it's acid flushed away.
That might have been what it ate.
Go.
I don't know.
There you go. That's it.
There's a raid by the cops. Someone like throws something out of their car, goes down the drain. Rat finds it. Game begins. That's what this
acid
is
trip.
Be. Yeah,
acid trip rat. That's what
I'm sure the name was already taken, so they just had to pick Morsels. I don't know. It looks hilarious, and I want to try it because it is beautifully animated, and I'm very curious if they start jumping art styles because I didn't really catch that part, but.
So it gave me some Binding of Isaac vibes.
Definitely.
I could see that. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to me. I loved Binding of Isaac. So, all right. This next game confused and intrigued me in a weird way, and it's called Date Everything, coming October 24th, where you can literally try and date everything, all the way down to and including the game itself. Steven, go ahead.
This is one of those games that even if I don't play it, I need to own it because it's so out there that if I describe it and someone's like, "That's a game," I'll be like, "Watch." You can date the vacuum cleaner, the cabinet, the door.
You can date Doug, your existential.
You can get the
dread.
You can date the washing machine and the pile of clothes, but then if you date them both, then the pile of clothes thinks you're cheating on the washing machine. I was like, just trying to describe that.
You can date the text box.
My favorite thing for it, which in the trailer, in the what was shown, it was a blink and you miss it moment, was the "I Love Lamp" reference for the lamp character.
I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, so you might have to go second by second if you rewatch it. But there was an "I Love Lamp" reference, and I literally was like, I'm sold already on this game.
It reminds me of that IKEA commercial, if you've ever seen it, where they throw out the lamp and the guy's just like, "Do you have feelings for that lamp?" Well, you shouldn't.
I love lamp.
Yeah, I'm with you, Steven. If this gets a physical release, I'm going to have to get it just because it's super weird.
Like, I never want all the dateable things spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
so I hope it doesn't come with all the cards or something like that. But I was like, it's just so out there.
Like,
it's so bizarre.
Is it really spoiling it if it literally says date everything? Is like, well, can I date that lamp? Yes, it's date everything. Well, what about that couch? Date everything.
This is crazy enough to probably get a physical release, but not April Foolish enough to be something that's a one and done, like the Sonic Murder Mystery game that came out on Steam, or the what was it, the Wendy's dating sim, or was it KFC?
It was KFC. Oh god, that was so weird. I didn't play that
one. I think there's a Wendy's. What was it? I think there's a Wendy's tabletop RPG. Though.
Yes, Feast of Legends, a Wendy's D&D 5e thing that I once ran. It was
oh my god, that was an actual D&D thing.
Very bare bones. I had to make up a lot of the enemies and places myself, but it was still fun.
That is shocking. Chase, when are you guys going to play that D&D?
Probably not anytime soon.
Probably not. All right. So after that ridiculousness, we had Peglin. That's available now. And if you've played Peggle, this is a take on it, but with a fun twist where the more pegs you hit on a run when you drop the ball into there, the more damage it does in the turn-based RPG battles you're doing on the top of the screen. So
wow, that sounds like Bookworm Adventures, where the bigger word you make, the more damage you do.
I'm not familiar with that one, but yeah, no, that does sound about right.
It plays the exact same way. And I was just like, at least you took good inspiration from two good games.
Bookworm Adventures was good.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to play this because I played so much Peggle. It was unhealthy.
Especially
on the DS.
Peggle.
That was just, I was done.
I loved Peggle. I remember going over to my, after church, all of us went out to dinner and we'd go over to our friend Mike's house. And if we didn't know what to play, whether it be a board game, a card game, or something else, he'd look at us and go, want to play Peggle? And we'd be like, yeah!
It's educational. It's got Ode to Joy. It's playing classical music.
Yeah. It's
Ignore
just
the unicorns and stuff.
And then all those years later, when Peggle 2 was announced and we all were, living separate lives. And I remember Peggle 2. I sent that video to all of them and said, it is time. So.
Oh, Lord.
Gotta love a good pachinko based game, Gotta love it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, they do say it's pachinko based, but everyone's like, oh, yeah, that's Peggle. It's like, okay, maybe we've moved on a little too far.
No, there's nothing that catches it on the bottom. It's different.
You got a point.
Developed by Vanilla Ice.
Oh, God.
It's different. It's nice. Not the same thing.
Nice joke, Steven. After that, we had Wobbly Life coming December 2024, which this one, it's going to have local and online co-op, which is nice, but it is the most generic physics-based adventure game I've ever seen, and probably the worst set of directs to announce it in. Steven, go ahead.
This one now, I don't think it was the Xbox show. I think it was the Sony State of Decay.
Mm-hmm.
But now Sony and Nintendo both have something that looks like a generic Roblox mod. And I'm like, why are you showing this off?
Because they needed to fill some time.
They could have shown anything else or extended a few trailers. I mean, because we've already got games like Human Fall Flat and Goat Simulator that are on Switch, which both have a nice bit of story or design.
But this one, this feels get a job, so buy a house. Like, oh boy.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it later. There's already a few other ones that were like, the worst set you could be announced with. Following up though was Pico Park 2, which immediately I saw the two characters and was like, is this a super simple version of Unravel? Like the blue and red character stuck together with the string. And I was like, I don't know why I immediated thought about that. I know there's supposed to be like Joy-Cons.
Or Bread and Fred if you really, really hate yourself.
Oh, wow.
But it looked so silly once you got to the 8-person co-op.
Yes, 8 player is... man.
I literally was like watching it. And I was like, this looks insane. I feel like I need to play it with other people.
Yeah, the original one is just as many players and it was like $2. It was awesome.
Wow. Yeah. So you get to work with everyone to solve the platforming puzzles in each level. There's more than 60 of them, and all of them can be played with 1 to 8 players. So that's going to be fun. Following that up is one we had to do more research for than I think any of them to try and get some kind of answer because we're confused. Was Shovel Knight Shovel of Hope DX coming out in 2025? It's a remake of the first Shovel Knight, but they've already released Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, but that's a separate edition. This will not be an add-on or DLC for it. It's a separate release. And then now this one's adding 20 playable characters, online multiplayer, rewind, and save states. And the developers are referring to it as kind of like a master version of the game to kind of bring everything they've done together.
Like a treasure trove of content.
Yeah.
The second time.
So it's kind of a weird one. Like, I loved Shovel Knight, and Treasure Trove was great that they brought in all the additions and everything they had previously. This is supposed to be like a newer version of that. It just feels weird being in the same console generation because I've already got a remake of Shovel Knight. I don't know. Would this be as egregious if this was like a launch title for Switch 2 or on something else? If, even if it was backwards compatible.
It would scare me because then I'd be like, wait, can I play the first one on Switch too?
Good point. That would be terrifying. So, but we had to keep looking it up because I think, Steven, you thought it was going to be a DLC add-on or a free add-on, but
yeah, and it doesn't require the original game, at least on Steam, and it still doesn't have a price. So I think it's going to hinge on that, whether people are going to be miffed or angry.
Yep, and as far as I know, I think it is getting a physical release. So we'll have to see.
So I'll have 3 copies.
I've got it on. Hooray. I think I've got more than 3. I've got it digitally on a few game systems. I had it on 3DS. I have it one on the Switch. And I have all the amiibos too. Good Lord. All right. Following that was Europa, October 11th, with the demo out now. This one, very colorful looking. I got to say, graphically, it looked really nice. Wasn't 100% sure on the gameplay. It looked like an open world type thing, but
it's the one I'm thinking of, right? Where you're the only human.
I believe so. I didn't find too much on the story when I was writing everything up this morning.
Yeah, there is if it's the game I'm thinking of, there is a demo out on Switch. Mm-hmm. It's very there's no combat. It's very collect stuff to then be able to jump higher and soar, fly off more and that kind of thing.
Right.
It's very relaxing.
I probably would have tried these demos if it wouldn't have made me have to stop playing Call of the Lamb.
Yeah, it's I mean, you can get the demo anytime. It's not going to go anywhere.
But I didn't play them today because I didn't want to stop my game.
Right. But the demo's been there. It's been there for a while. This is a game that was already shown at something else that they put into this one, if I remember correctly. Because it's got kind of that Studio Ghibli kind of art style, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I think I thought this was the first time they announced it today when they had the release date and showed the demo was now available. Okay. No. Maybe I was wrong.
No, if it's the game I'm thinking of, it's the demo's been out for a while and I played that. So
gotcha.
But it's good. I don't know if I'd spend full price on it. Good, but
we'll have to see. All right. Next up was a game called Cuisinier, January 28th of next year. Rachel, this one seemed like something you were interested in. You know, a little backstory on it.
Cats, cooking, combat. The 3
Battlestar
C's.
Galactica.
Exactly. The 3 C's. Cats, cooking, and combat. What's not to like?
If you don't like cats, cooking, and combat, then this game is not for you.
I'll have to look up more. There's probably more story to it, but they didn't show a huge amount of it in there.
It was a quick rundown, yeah.
Very quick rundown, but it looked cute. The art style looks nice. So I'd like to know a little more about it, but cats, cooking, and combat. If you like those 3 things, what's not to like about this game,
Yep. Another one that they only showed a little bit of, I'm kind of curious and want to find more out about, is On Your Tail, coming November 21st. This is like a 3D adventure mystery game where you're trying to solve a crime or something. And then they even showed where you're using cards to move around little characters, maybe for a crime scene. It was such a short little bit. It needed more information about it. But
okay.
It looks interesting.
According to the description on the Switch shop, it's embark on a seaside getaway that you'll never forget, and On Your Tail, a sleuthy, story-driven 3D life sim of relaxation, detective work, and knowing how to play your cards right. So there's sleuthing. It's set in a charming seaside village of Borgo Marina. And let me see. You could explore your surroundings as you get to know your eccentric inhabitants. You visit a secluded village, so you're exploring the town. It's third-person 3D narrative adventure. It didn't say anything about the cards.
Well, it never shown them with what they had on there, but
yeah,
they need to release a demo or something. Let us at least try it out, or more of a trailer, hopefully.
Like, it's got all kinds of things. You can make food, you could do fishing, you could hit the beach, you could play games at the arcade. There's all kinds of stuff in it. It's got looks like it's got something for everyone. So it looks good.
We'll take a look and see.
Yeah.
After that, we had Metal Slug Tactics coming fall 2024. This one we'd seen before. I like tactics games. I want to try it, but I absolutely love, and I kind of refer to it as over-animated look that the Metal Slug games do. SNK back on the Neo Geo was really good about that, where just everything had little nuanced animations about it. That was one of the biggest things of their fighting games.
Yeah, I wish they'd make a 2-pack physical with tactics and the assault one in there. But I know one's mobile and this one's not.
Right. But even I want to try it. I get into some tactics games on occasion, but like I just know this one's going to look amazing to at least look at for everything.
Got to be better than the PlayStation 1 Final Fantasy Tactics, all right?
I still think Tactics Advance was the better one.
If you need any recommendations for tactics games, I'll help you out, Jeremy.
Oh, I've got what is it? Disgaea, Ogre Battles. I've got a pretty good amount of tactics games. It's just how long I stick with them kind of changes. What were you saying, Steven?
I said XCOM.
I actually don't have XCOM.
Oh, you should.
I've got the Rabbids games.
XCOM is one of those games that, like, when it came out, like XCOM and XCOM 2, just they all of a sudden kind of became like the gold standard now. Like, there's so many like if you look now, there's pretty much lists now that say games like XCOM. Like,
just don't get the one
a standard.
Don't get the one that pretends to be Fallout.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I know. I would always bring up the fact that, like, of tactics games, the ones I really preferred was like Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. That one in particular, boy, that would set people off. They're like, "How dare you like that one better than the PlayStation one?" I was like, "I do. I like the world of it. It's better to me." So who knows?
Everyone is allowed to have their own opinions.
Yep. All right. So next up, we have the Plucky Squire coming September 17th. This one I really want. I just haven't decided what system I want to get it on yet. Because it is a graphically beautiful game, and it really does have a nice pop and change to it on like the PS5, PC, and Series X versions. The Switch one, I want to see how well that translates. The 2D, I think, is going to look fine. It's the 3D worlds and the jumping back and forth. That's the only part I'm wondering how the Switch is going to handle. I almost
wanted to make sure I get it on Switch just because of the homage they did at the end of the trailer.
I'll have to watch it again and see. Maybe I missed part of that to see how it is.
Well, at the end it's a Punch Out. It's Punch Out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's because I saw that in the Xbox trailer when they first showed it, because that's just one of the boss fights.
I had forgotten since then, but I was like, oh yeah, that makes me want to get it on Switch even more because Punch Out.
Like I said, the 2D parts I think are to be great. I want to know how the 3D parts handle, and I think it'll still be fine. I really like that crisp, clean look I've seen. So
yeah, I feel Devolver's had a good run so far with Switch, so I don't see them like dropping the ball. So
I might be willing to actually double dip, to be honest with you. I might pick it up on Switch as well, just to have them both.
They have a nice looking deluxe edition. So
I know. I really want it. Speaking of deluxe editions, this next one is finally coming to Switch, though it feels like it should have from the get-go, and that is Pizza Tower, which is available now. This is getting a physical release later, where you get the character as a kitchen timer, which is perfect. You just can rotate him and he becomes a little kitchen timer. But yeah, this one felt like it should have been on Switch at launch. This is one you guys recommended to me, I think early this year or sometime last year, and I ended up picking it up on Steam, and I played on my Steam
made by one guy.
Possibly, so. I'm not sure. Chris, you might know more about that than we do.
Yes and no. It was definitely spearheaded by one guy named
that's
McPig.
Mhm.
But with a lot of these games, there are people, there are play testers, there are cleanup artists.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Yeah,
actually
Hellblade.
meant to be a couple of different games beforehand. I think it was actually going to be an RPG before it became a Wario-like. So
When I saw this, I was like, oh man, the guys are going to be so happy that this is on Switch because they've been saying for ages, this game should be on Switch. Why isn't this on Switch? It should have been on Switch. And I literally was like, yep.
You should tell them to play Anton Blast as well.
I'm just happy it's getting a physical release because, like you were saying earlier, Rachel, with the other one, I already have it on Steam. Now I can get it physically and have the Switch version, which is great.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm like, if you're not sure, just get it on Steam. Me, I don't care one way or another. I'll buy it twice. But
well, if I'm going to buy it twice, I might as well have it available on more things to play.
Mm-hmm. Some things you just want to play on Switch as opposed to on Steam, which is a little different.
All right, so that was the Indie Direct, and now we'll go ahead and jump over then to the Partner Direct.
Get into the nitty gritty.
Yep, that was one whole Direct. Now we got a whole other one to deal with. So this Nintendo Direct started off with a bang, and that was the Tetris Forever coming from Digital Eclipse, which immediately I was thinking of my wife because Tetris is her favorite game. And I told her today about this and it's like, yeah, you're already getting a copy. I will pre-order this as soon as I can. You will have it. That is happening. So this one includes 8 different, I think like 8 or 9 different versions of Tetris, including Tetris, the Famicom version from 88, Hatris from 1990, which I did not realize was official, even though I have it. Tetris 2 plus Bomb Bliss from 91, Super Bomb Bliss from 95, Super Bomb Bliss DX from 99, which I think is the Game Boy Color version, Tetris Battle Gaiden from 94, Super Tetris 2 plus Bomb Bliss from 92, Super Tetris 2 plus Bomb Bliss Gentai Band from 1994. They're pulling in some weird ones. Super Tetris 3 from 94, and then finally the multiplayer mode Tetris Time Warp, which is coming out obviously with this one. Time Warp allows, when you're playing, it'll start swapping between the different versions, which actually includes older versions of Tetris than what they're showing here because they're showing
the original ASCII version where you just did it with text.
Did you say ASCII?
I don't know how you say that.
It's ASCII. I was just curious. I was just curious if it was original how it was said. I was like, we always
and Linux.
ASCII.
Yes, I know.
Linux.
Not judging. Linux. Was just wondering.
Oh, Linux.
So anybody else interested in a Tetris collection other than me?
Of course.
I know you are, Steven. You are.
I think they only picked the ones that he worked on, though. That's why we're not getting Tetris Attack. That's why we're not getting Tetris DS or anything like that. I think it's his collection of.
Yeah.
Because it comes with the documentary and stuff. So I think it's all his games he worked on.
Yeah, that's the other thing with digital.
I remember the box for Hatris said like Alexei Pahitnov made this, and I was like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, it does say that because that's one of the box Super Nintendo games I have. Is Hatris.
I'll play. Oh my goodness! I'll play the Tetris that is on the Nintendo Switch Online when it comes this winter. That's what I'll do.
Which is not 2-player. It's only 2-player co-op, which is dumb.
Yeah, which is kind of a weird one. That was the other thing we were going to get to, but the documentary content is one of the things I look forward to from Digital Eclipse because they do include so much stuff for like advertisements, box art, books, interviews, things like that. Like it's celebrating Tetris in a really good way, I think. So,
and they actually had 2 announcements. We're going to get to the other one later.
Yes. The NES Tetris, like Rachel had already said, is coming out to Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Switch Online later this winter.
Tetris is coming to Tetris.
NSO.
Yeah, I thought it was weird. They were like, it's coming out, and they didn't just release it now. They're like, it's winter.
Well, then they're like, and a Tetris thing is coming to Tetris 99. And I was just like, oh boy.
Yeah, the Tetris 99 Maximus Cup, Tetris 40th Anniversary event. What a name. That's also going to be this winter. So
it's just a bunch of words, man.
They just pieced them all together. All right. Next up, we had Star Overdrive, which is a timed exclusive for 2025. This had surprisingly large areas that you'd play in, like a hoverboard running around, but it was also an action platformer.
Giant sand hover surfboard thing going on.
With customization.
Platforming, hack and
Steven?
slash a la Devil May Cry. And you're doing all this stuff on this planet to reunite with your lost love. Looks like a good time.
It looked really good, even for a Switch title. I was kind of surprised.
Mhm.
Steven, go ahead.
Yeah, that was the best part when they were like, he's here to find his beloved. Don't show us the beloved, though, so we'll have no emotional connection of what we want to do, except we just want to go boarding.
Maybe they just haven't finished, they haven't polished what the beloved looks like yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's not until next year, so who knows?
Plot twist, it's going to be the board.
You're going to find her. It's like, sorry, your love interest is in another game.
Just like in Bionic Commando, the arm was his wife. Sorry, spoilers.
And then they said like special something, and then they showed a sandworm, and I was like sold. I was already sold, but
You have an
double
unhealthy
sold.
obsession with sandworms.
I love sandworms.
I'm surprised you don't talk about Dune more.
I listen. I like Dune. I like the classic Dune with Sting in his metal underwear.
And Patrick Stewart.
Where they all fought inside cubes.
They all fought inside cubes. But speaking of sandworms, if you look really closely up on the top of my shelf, you'll see a sandworm, his tail sticking off the end.
Nice.
There you
Yeah,
go.
whenever you lose in multiverses, Beetlejuice gets eaten by a sandworm.
Hmm.
So he dies.
What?
I'm excited to see how the sandworm is included in the
Is it-
the new movie coming out this week.
Yeah. Is it based on the movie style of sandworm, or is it based off the cartoon style of sandworm?
It looks
movie.
cartoony.
Okay.
What color is it?
Because its face is basically Beetlejuice's colors.
So there's black and white.
Black and white, purple, and green.
Okay, that's the movie sandworms.
Okay.
Yeah.
If
'cause
it's
the cartoon
if
had, like,
it's
black-
lavender,
Attack,
lavender, darker purple,
Mhm.
and yellow, then it's the cartoon.
Okay, because
So.
he's even got an attack where he opens a window and a sandworm comes out to snap you.
Yep, that's movie sandworm.
Yep. All right. Next up, we have the Goat Simulator 3, which is digital available now. November is a physical copy coming out. So I already have Goat Simulator 3 on Xbox, but Steven, you had said they'd given it another name or another reason for it.
Well, there's a regular Goat Simulator 3, but they also have a downgrade DLC edition. So
I don't know what that means.
they made, I don't know what they're going to do in the game, but the placard or whatever you want to call it on the eShop made the graphics look worse on the cover. Like made all the goats look worse, saying this is a digital downgrade DLC.
I'm going to laugh if that's how they have it running at like 60 frames. It's like making it look
Everything's blocky, that'd
absolutely
be great.
horrible just to mess with people. Oh, that's great. Goat Simulator is fun. You really should play it, people. It's stupid and fantastic. And you can nuke things. They had a rapid fire section after this, really quick. Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky the First, coming 2025. We had Star Wars Hunters, which is, they were showing season 3 starts September 26th. I forgot that was a thing.
It's
Stalker.
fun, but the grind is horrible.
Okay. I did like the Ewok popping out of the ATST, though. That
It's
was
still
cute.
free unless you want stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Stalker, Legends of the Zone Trilogy, coming out November 2024.
That was a shock.
Yeah, I was like, it actually looked really good. That might be a fun way to play that. Because I was thinking about getting a physical copy of it if they released it for other systems, but I might just get the Switch one. And then lastly, we had Worms Armageddon Anniversary Edition coming September 26th from Digital Eclipse as well. Steven, go ahead.
Yeah, because they glanced by it.
Mhm.
This one will also come with behind the scenes and a documentary about worms.
That is a series I feel like I got into way too late. Once I figured out what was going on, I was like, oh God, this is actually really fun. And then no one
The most
played.
fun we've ever had was playing that on PC with voice pack mods from like Spaceballs and all these other popular movies. So that's
We
all
ain't
we
found
remember,
shit.
Chris and I, from that game is quotes from movies as part of Worms.
God. Do these have any kind of like online multiplayer option, or? Because I would love to give those a go with you guys at some point.
I know all the games now have it.
Nice.
Hmm.
Next game they showed, this one, I'm not going to lie, I laughed at this one. SpongeBob SquarePants, the Patrick Star game, coming October 4th. This is the other big physics-based game, other than Goat Simulator 3, that really made the first title they were showing kind of look bad, because this has a really good personality. It's a good use of the license. Patrick being in the middle of a crazy physics-based game a la Goat Simulator makes perfect sense to me, actually. It just feels
the beginning
like...
reminded me of Octodad.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good combination, too.
You know what's really... what I'm like, now that I've gone through all the announcements again and we're talking about physics-based game, somebody at Nintendo, whoever arranged this whole thing and was in charge of helping get all the games together and getting all the publishers together and developers and all of that, probably thought, we need to fill some time here. What's some game genre that we already have stuff for, and what's another one coming out? And they probably just had a bunch of titles and just threw a dart at a board and thought, hey, this is a similar type of gameplay, let's just include it. And that's probably why.
Nice.
Corporate, man. Corporate.
I do like the fact they did bring in his voice actor, it sounds like. So Patrick is voiced by William Fagerbach. I can never say his last name correctly. So yeah, that one looks ridiculous, but I kind of want to try it just to see what kind of madness they include. I have a feeling it would still be more clean than what they do in Goat Simulator, because of that they're just like, we have no limits, we'll just do whatever. So next up we had Fitness Boxing 3 Your Personal Trainer, coming December 5th, and apparently this is one Steven's into, so Steven, go for it.
Let me just tell you, I don't know what's going on with Fitness Boxing, but now there's 3 Fitness Boxing. There's Fist of the North Star Fitness Boxing. There's Hatsune Miku Fitness Boxing coming out.
What?
So I was like, there's something about this series that it's going multiverses or something. But I'm surprised you didn't catch that one thing at the end where they showed the songs, because I was just like, this is a fitness game where you can box to the Ghostbusters theme.
Oh, I didn't see that. It was just such a long list of songs.
And they added, for people like me who don't have the room, they added sit fit boxing where you can just punch while sitting down. And I was just like, I just quickly looked through the list and I was like, sweet, it's got Ghostbusters on it. So I can punch the Ghostbusters.
I did not know that, and I need to be able to make the characters have the suit then. Damn it, am I going to have to buy a boxing game? All right, so after this came one that I think all of us...
Broke the internet again.
Yeah, broke the internet again. Chris, I had a feeling you were about as excited as I am with your love of fighting games. And that is the Capcom Fighting Collection 2, coming in 2025. Which includes Capcom vs. SNK Millennium Fight 2000 Pro, Capcom vs. SNK 2 Mark of the Millennium 2001, Project Justice, Capcom Fighting Evolution, which a lot of people don't really know about that one. I have it on PS2.
Or like it.
I have fun with it, but it's a weird one.
Yeah.
Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, I think, is the PSP version.
It is it is one that did come out in the arcade. You're thinking of Max.
Okay, well, they use the same up arrow logo on that one, I believe, because I used to play the PSP version.
Because it's still missing characters from the PSP version.
Oh, okay. Plasma Sword, Nightmare of Bilstein, and then the 2 really big surprising ones were Power Stone and Power Stone 2 are finally getting re-releases for the first time since the PSP. And then all of these are including full multiplayer online. And then we're also going to have a museum mode for art, music, and things like that to go through, which I love when they do that. Steven?
Yeah, they actually have a website up. You can look up that emulates the Capcom vs. SNK 2 style, which is awesome. So they did say, because you can have up to 9 people in the lobby, you can have 4 people playing Power Stone 2 and 5 people watching it. So that's really cool.
Oh, wow.
What's interesting is when you go through each game, they tell you what things they had to change. And that's because some of them, they made secret characters available right now. Other ones, like Power Stone and Power Stone 2, have some questionable endings, so they had to change them. And there are some Midnight Bliss transformations missing from Capcom from Capcom Fighting Evolution, because they're based on JoJo's Venture, which they do not own anymore.
Oh, so they had
that belongs to Bandai Namco. So for people who are thinking it's getting censored, it's just like, no, it's some of those licenses they just don't have. You should be happy the games are coming out.
Yeah, most of the time it's never censorship, it's licensing. That's like the biggest thing, or biggest hurdle to overcome, I think.
I'd be more interested to see what they replace it with. So I was like, you're changing it, what are you changing it to?
At least they're being straightforward ahead of time. I mean, they're not like trying to sneak it in. They're like, look, this is what we're having to do.
Yeah, they're just not telling you what. They're just saying they had to change it.
Yeah, and I think they're being more realistic. Like certain fighting games have had to go in. I know the Turtles game had to do this for some of where they had to tone down the flashing and stuff. Like it's a modern game. Sometimes you have to change
That's actually
things.
the best part of the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection is they made it that you can turn off the flashing for every single game instead of just one game that had it back in the day. So all of them are safe for anybody, with epilepsy. So it's nice.
Yep. Speaking of that, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Collection, it was getting a digital September 12th and then a physical release November 22nd. So we finally have release dates for those. Steven, go ahead.
And if you kept your eyes on the trailer, you noticed something they didn't even touch on was the Japanese version of was it Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter has the Japanese exclusive character in it.
Oh, they did include him. I thought they had to remove him.
Norimaru did make it in, even though Marvel didn't like him at the time, but he made it in.
Nice. So, Chris, I wanted to ask you specifically, as the other lover of fighting games here, well, the bigger one that I know for a lot of stuff. How are you feeling about this collection? You think it's a good addition with the first one?
I just found it funny because a lot of people were talking about what other games they'd like to see in a collector's edition, and not more than a few months later, we got a lot of them. Not all of them. A few people I talked to.
Almost the Insuno collection.
Yeah. We are getting people who are asking what happened to Rival Schools. Where's Tatsunoko? Why don't we have Techromancer? So it's not perfect, but it's definitely better than what we had before.
So, hold on. I can give you a video, Christian, that tells you the reasons behind those, because some of those worked off of PlayStation hardware and not really arcade hardware, since these are all arcade versions.
Yeah.
Capcom Fighting Evolution doesn't have the crisp up-res of the Xbox version. And then the same thing with Project Justice. There was an arcade version of that, but there was PS1 Rival Schools, and Techromancer, they said, is licensing nightmare.
Yeah, because I'm not sure where that one would be for that.
Because the things that were featured in Techromancer is a literal nightmare. Same with Tatsunoko, that they said if you ever got the English version of that game, consider it a blessing, because it was the hardest thing Capcom ever did in terms of licensing to get, because almost every single character belongs to somebody else.
Yep.
And it's gotten even harder to license now. So if they want to break the internet a third time, they're going to have to do really hard work to get Tatsunoko, because now that I know how many characters belong to how many different studios, that's not easy.
I honestly could see if they did a Fighting Collection 3, it would just be Tatsunoko versus Capcom. That's the only game you get, and everyone would be like, okay, I get it.
That's $60 because they need their money back from all
110 or something, I'd pay it, let's be honest.
It would be like the Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered. $75 because that was a bitch to get together.
Got to pay for that licensing. All right. Next up, we have Altair Yumiya, the Alchemist of Memories, and the Envisioned Lady. What a name, coming in early 2025. That's a lot to try and tell somebody. I'm just... After that, we had the Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster, Gate Rune, and Dunin Unification Wars coming March 6, 2025. Not only is it an HD version of it, but they've also added the ability to speed up the fights 2 times or 4 times and automate battles. So you don't have to sit there and just slog through it or grind through it the entire time.
And it sounds like you can actually switch between regular and HD too.
Oh, I didn't see that. I thought it was just all HD. With
people are picking apart the box art, saying they've shown both artworks on the cover. So it's alluding to the fact that you'll be able to now switch between the 2 different portraits and stuff.
I do know friend of the show, Joey, will be happy about the fact this is not HD 2D. He is not a fan of that art style.
And it's a physical. Go Konami.
Yeah, I might actually have to pick this one up, because I have some of the old Suikoden games, but I never really got into them. But I think as a portable, I'd probably like it better.
I remember when they first announced this, like, ages ago, and they kept pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it, and it just It was like a year and a half
And then
of
the
this.
creator died, and everybody's like, "Is this still coming?"
It's still coming. And then when I saw this, I was like, "Oh, thank God!" And the first thing I thought was, "Joey's gonna be so glad."
No kidding. Oh, someone's messaging us on Discord. All right, so next up after that, Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake got a date for November 14th. We also got looks at how you can customize different characters for looks, voices, and vocations, and a new job called Monster Wrangler, where you can use
Monster Rancher.
Yeah, well, you can use monsters' attacks in battle from different views, and then you could actually, when you capture or use the creatures, you can use them in the game in different ways. So I'm curious how that's going to expand it, but I don't know. I think they're just continuing to just kind of drip feed information to keep everybody interested in that one. All right, this next one I am wanting to play so badly, but trying to make myself wait for a physical release, and I'm so jealous of you, Chris. Castlevania Dominus Collection, which is available now because Chris was playing it early digitally, with a physical coming later from Limited Run Games. So that means I'll probably get it sometime next year. This includes, though, Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, Order of Ecclesia, which are all three of the DS Castlevania games, which are phenomenal games. You really need to play those. They are great. As well as the arcade version of Haunted Castle. And
For
then
the second time.
Yeah, and the remake version of Haunted Castle Revisited. What do you mean for the second time? I thought that one was not.
The other one's on Konami Arcade Classics for
okay.
Switch as well. But Haunted Castle Revisited is what if it was good?
I don't mind bad arcade games. If I don't have to pay the money, I can just play around with them. That's fine.
I love Revisited because now I want a Rebirth collection so bad.
So do I. Oh, that'd be so good. Honestly, if they do a third one, like at some point you think they would do one, put like Symphony of the Night and stuff, but that'll never happen. We are getting, of course, more art and music collection in here, which is always great to just go through and jukebox all the wonderful music they put in those games and look at the art, because that generation had some fantastic artwork.
The only Castlevania game I played from this collection, I believe, was Dawn of Sorrow.
Okay.
That's the one with Soma in it, right?
Soma Cruz.
Yeah. Soma Cruz. The only reason I got it
modern day
is because my friend got it for me. Because literally they said, "Rachel, this has a really Bishi looking character with white hair in it, which is totally up your alley. Here you go." And I went,
I think it was the first Castlevania you could get a gun too, if I remember correctly.
And
there's already long plays where people are playing it gun only and seeing if they can beat it.
Good luck.
And then fun fact, which I wondered about, but I don't think they did, was if you owned Aria of Sorrow and you had an original or a DS with the Game Boy Advance slot, you got a special item that was really good in Dawn of Sorrow.
Yeah, I wonder if that got brought over.
Interesting. But yeah, no, I was like, okay, and then I played it, and it was my first thought was, oh, this is hard.
They're not the easiest, but they're
not.
Chris, I have to ask you, out of the three of these, which is your favorite?
Tough to say, honestly, because I will say Dawn of Sorrow is unfortunately the lowest. I'd probably go with Order first, then Portrait, and then Dawn. Because I admit that Dawn of Sorrow, it's more of an aesthetic choice. They're still good games, but I miss Ayami Kojima's portrait work, because they made it look too anime-ish, and I hate the glyph system. Aside from that, not a bad game.
Fair enough.
You played Portrait of Ruin, though, right?
Yes.
How does the intro look? Has it been up-resed, or does it still look rough?
You know what? I'd have to look again.
Okay.
Yeah, it was nice to find out earlier as well that you were saying the way the layout is with the touch screen and the main screen is you can move it around and change those. So now, is there an option to play it vertically? Like where it's going to be a vertical format and you use like one of the little devices you can clip a switch
there is
into
not Tate mode, no.
I was wondering if they were going to do that, because that'd be a fun way to play it. All right. So next up, we had Sid Meier's Civilization 6 or 7. Sorry, February 11th of next year.
And it grinds Chase's gears.
Yeah. Let's see, Chase. You had a statement for this one. Go ahead.
So, well, it's just a massive pet peeve of mine with this generation in particular, but with the fact that like this generation has, I mean, obviously there's still like PC's still better, obviously, but like the consoles are getting more powerful and we're getting more RTS games on it. We're getting a lot of tactics games on it.
Mm-hmm.
There's absolutely zero reason. I will die on this hill. People can explain it to me. That's fine. And this is probably a discussion for another day, but I don't see why we can't get PC UIs and control schemes for these console-based games. The consoles, came out of the gate saying that they allowed keyboard and mouse support. So it's not like something that they added in with like a firmware update like the last generation, towards the end of the last generation.
Have touch support at least.
It's just frustrating for me because objectively, I feel like those playing with a keyboard and mouse is the better way to play those games, better way to enjoy them, just objectively speaking.
They can have that, but I don't see how it would work well for these, because if I'm playing this and I'm on a plane, I'm not pulling a keyboard and mouse out of my bag to hook it up. Like, I want it to be designed well for the controller that comes with it, which they need to do. And I was one of the ones that actually liked the controller support for like Halo Wars and stuff like that.
So I'm not saying that you
I'm that
shouldn't
dirty
have,
bastard.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't have controller support. That's not what I'm arguing.
Yeah.
I'm saying that players should have the option. They should have the
Agree.
choice, the freedom of choice in how they want to play games like this. Because it's just, even a game like Baldur's Gate. Like, I watched Shanoa play that because she got the PC version because she pre-ordered the game ages ago. And watching just how like the PC version played compared to the console version, the way that they did it with the controllers and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's playable and stuff, but it would have been so much nicer to have like that, to have all your spells and all your abilities just in that like organized box where you could just click on what you want rather than having to thumb through this really.
Chase is gonna hate me.
That's fine. You can.
Even on PC, I play that game on controller because I don't like the mouse and keyboard.
That's fine. I just think that it's like, hitting the button to bring up the wheels, and then you have to like cycle through to like find what you're looking for. Like, unless you take like a massive amount of time to reorganize the wheels and stuff, I don't know. To me, it was just night and day difference. And I just don't understand why we don't get this more, or we don't get the option with a lot of these games.
I think the option, I understand. Like, I get, like, even Baldur's Gate, you have the option to play it either way for a lot of these. But I know, like, even on the PC side, controllers becoming a bigger thing for a lot of games because that's how you get support on like Steam Deck or some of these other handheld PCs that are coming out that are very controller centric. And a lot of titles just kind of lean in that direction. But
yeah,
I get it. Some of them.
PC players have had the option to play with controllers for decades, and now
the funny thing
consoles...
is, but it wasn't supported. It had to grow and change, because I remember, God, during the 360 era, how bad controller support was for so many games.
Fair enough.
We still feel it now when I try and install a title on my Steam Deck, and it's like, hey, this doesn't support anything other than keyboard and mouse, or like you have to use a keyboard and mouse on your Steam Deck to get through menu options or something. Like, it was a weird time. But I agree, the option should be there for certain stuff. And I'm wondering if this has that on PS5 and Series X, because I know those support mouse and keyboard for a lot of games. But
just definitely
that's a fair view.
It's just been a kind of a pet peeve of mine, because like, as an enjoyer of those types of games, like a game that what's it called? It's one of the more recent Warhammer Age of Sigmar RTS games.
Mm-hmm.
So like, when I started playing it, was playing on a controller, right? And it was fine because like the early levels were a little bit easier and stuff. But then there was a point where I was just getting absolutely like destroyed. Couldn't like, and I was like, man, this would be so much better if I could play on keyboard and mouse, right? Well, then lo and behold, I just plugged in keyboard and mouse, and the game was just like, oh, you got a keyboard and mouse, sweet. And it just changed all the controls, had everything set up, and it was just like perfect to go. I'm like, why can't more games just do this? This is great.
Very true. All right. So next up, we had Tales of Grace's F Remastered coming January 17th, 2025. Rachel, go ahead and get it out of your system.
Oh my God. I have been waiting for this to get off the PS3 for years. It has been trapped on the PS3 for years. Oh, I am so excited. So very excited for this.
I'm not as familiar with this one, but
so it's God, when did it come out? Long time ago. But this was my favorite Tales game for years, purely because of one mechanic, and it was something called the circle dodge, where you could literally dodge in a circle around an enemy. So you would circle the enemy while you were dodging. And I got so good at the combat in this game purely because of this mechanic. And then when the next game came out and they took it out, I had to like relearn how to play Tales entirely. So, yeah. but it's exciting. It's good. I'm glad to finally bring another Tales game to, modern consoles. It's got an excellent voice cast. I can still remember, like, this is the Tales games, when they do their special moves, they call out the name of it. Or it's so silly and stupid. And wonderful. It's got, the story is really long and more convoluted than any of the other Tales games I've played. And you start out playing the characters when they're kids, which is wild. But yeah, looking forward to it. And it's probably not just coming to Switch. It's probably going to come to like PS5 and Xbox and PC as well. So
yeah, I kind of figured it was going to be announced for those as well. So
yeah, it is up for pre-order for those three physical.
Yay.
Gotcha. So it's coming to Xbox as well, huh?
Yeah, it'll run 30 frames on Switch, 60 frames on PS5 and Xbox, and 120 frames if you have it on PC.
And
that seems like a fair trade-off.
It's a really solid RPG. It's got lots of funny stuff in it from like that's really common in the Tales games. And
like me, you're wondering why the girl didn't grow up, but the guys did. Okay.
Oh, why Sophie, the purple-haired girl, didn't grow up? Play the game.
Exactly the same. She looks exactly the same.
Play the game. You'll find out.
I know. The tree is probably still a tree in there somewhere.
No, there's no
tree
in this one.
That's the MacGuffin of Tales.
No,
oh, that's crazy.
No.
Oh,
there's some interesting stuff in this. Some pretty dark crap, honestly. Like I remember playing this one and in comparison to the other ones, and I was like, oh my God, this is like dark. These voice actors put in the work. So yeah, good stuff though. Real good stuff.
Nice. Next up is a old guilty pleasure of mine. My Sims Cozy Bundle coming November 19th. This includes My Sims and My Sims Kingdom, which I'm not going to lie, I used to play these on the Wii and the DS because they were just fun. They were just cute looking little games, and they were entertaining to just kind of run around as a simplified version of The Sims. So
I'm excited for it too. They're cute.
I don't feel bad. I liked it. That's just kind of cool. They're coming out as a set collection. I don't know. I don't think the two games cross over. They're still treated as individual titles. So much so, I kind of wonder if like it's one of those cartridges you put in and it gets two different icons.
It seems to be what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. But it was a happy surprise. I did not think this series would ever come back. I figured it would just be stuck where it was as a game of its time, you know?
Yeah, he finally found out what's going to make them money is we'll take all our Wii games and port them.
Yeah. What was it last episode we talked about? There's the the My Sims game, or the Sims game that looks like a modern take of it. I can't even remember the name of it.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, fine. You want to go realistic? We're going to go even blockier and weird looking. See what you do.
You know, there's so many games that was on the Wii that I would want them to put on the Switch.
There are
That's
a lot.
big question in itself.
No kidding. That would be a fun one. So that, and like some of our games that we really want that are stuck on a system. Like, come back, which, Xenoblade Chronicles X will be on that.
Oh yeah, Zack and Wiki.
Oh, such a good game. All right, next we have Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 coming holiday 2024 of this year. And then we're also getting Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, which is the Ruin DLC, coming this holiday as well for those that still have Security Breach. So that's the new sequel for that. And then they had a listing of some holiday titles we'll go through real quick. Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed coming September 24th.
Yes.
As a demo.
I want to try that because it's looking good. Tales of the Shire, the Lord of the Rings game coming this holiday, which I still find hilarious that it's got so involved in a cooking mechanic, as it should.
And it's made by Weta Workshop.
It's going to be good.
It's a big deal for over here.
It looks cute. Yeah. Hey, guess what? We're getting a Just Dance 2025 edition. Who else is shocked and surprised?
Not me.
Code in a box.
Say what?
Code in a box.
Probably. I'm surprised we're not still getting a Wii version of that released. Funko Fusion for the Switch is coming this holiday as well. I talked about that at the beginning of the show. The Switch version looked nice, but I want to see actual gameplay of it before I decide if I want to get that version. I still feel PC, Series X, or PS5 is probably the way to go with this. EA Sports FC 25 coming September 27th. So if you like soccer or football, depending on what country you're in, go for it. And then lastly, Lego Horizon Adventures coming this holiday. The next main game they showed was Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma coming spring 2025. Anybody here a Rune Factory person? Yeah, even Rachel's like, yeah.
I collect them, but I haven't played any of them.
I will say this one looks more interesting than the other ones that I've tried. And the last one I got, I think, was the previous one, either 4 or 3. And I was like, oh, it's fun. It's, same game, different name-ish. But this one actually looks like it's got some, like they've actually changed some things around and are really trying to rehash, reevaluate, and redo everything about Rune Factory as we know it, while still keeping the same vibe. So it looks more interesting than other Rune Factory games I played. So
hey, why not? And the last announcement from the Nintendo Direct is the one that it wasn't as big of an announcement as some of us wondered it would be, but I was still very much caught off guard. Yakuza Kiwami coming October 24th. It's a digital-only release coming out the same day as the Netflix series. But the fact they have this running on the Switch and it looks that good is shocking. Chase, go ahead.
Just as a resident Yakuza enjoyer, if you haven't played this game, give it a try. You will enjoy it, especially for that price. It's phenomenal. The franchise itself was phenomenal. A lot of funny stuff in it. And it definitely, if you want to look at, Swan talked about it a long while back at his pet peeves. If you want to look at an open world map that is literally crammed full of stuff in this tiny area, that is probably one of the gold standards for making an open world game with
should be like 10 hours
space.
long. This game should be 10 hours long, but with all the side quests and little things you can do, it's 100 hours.
You could literally walk into almost every building. There's almost something in almost every building you can do.
You can play a different Sega arcade game in every single version.
So I'm probably going to pick this up because $20 is really cheap to give it a shot. I have Yakuza Kiwami. My good friend Michael was a big push on getting me to play these games. And one of the things he showed me, he's like, you need to play these. And he showed me the scene. I don't know if it's in Kiwami or maybe Kiwami 2. Where you just get into a fight and punch a tiger in the face. And he's like, this is why you need to play these games. It gets ridiculous. And we went and bought it that day. I have it. He gets into a fight and the guy's attacking him. And he's like, I've got my pet tigers. And you just punch the tiger in the face. And I was like, I'm in. let's do this.
Yeah,
This is stupid.
It's over the top.
It never takes itself seriously.
Zero was great. Kiwami's great. The whole franchise is great.
Yeah, I'm still, like I said, shocked it's coming out
I'm glad
on the
we're getting
Switch.
this because we did not get Yakuza 1 and 2 on Wii U here because it bombed in Japan because the Wii U bombed. But this just shows that they're giving it another shot. So hopefully this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Hopefully. The series has picked up a lot more than it did at the time. I think if Yakuza was as popular then as it is now, that might have actually been a real win for the Wii U, and probably people would have been more interested in it at the time.
They're going to have a presentation later in September, so we're probably going to hear either more news, more ports, or another game.
Nice. And this is technically not part of the Direct, but right afterwards at PAX West, we had one more surprise announcement, and that is Guilty Gear Strive is coming to the Switch January 25th. With all 28 characters, that we don't know if the 3v3 edition of the fights is going to be included. I'm hoping if that's part of the system that they have it, but I could also see
it looked very well done, and I think when they released DNF Duel for Switch, that was their dipping their toes in the water, and since that worked out well, they're like, yeah, let's do Strive.
Nice. I've enjoyed a good couple of Guilty Gear games over the years. Like I had them all the way back on like the Xbox, on the original Xbox, and some of the other titles. So who knows? Should be a good one. All right. So real quick, we'll go around the horn just to ask, like, this Indie Direct and this Partner Direct, what letter grade we would give this, because we had a lot of stuff kind of going, and I'm combining them into one. Steven, we'll start with you.
If I had to, I would give. I'm actually going to split them because the Indie Direct, I'd give a C. Just because the things that I liked were just sequels. But then the Direct Partner Showcase could have been part of a real Direct, so that I gave an A.
Okay. Chris, what about you?
I'd give it a B overall. Not everything was interesting, but what was interesting was really good.
Okay. Chase, what about you?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. You could just do a B average or a C and A, like what Swan said. Just average at best.
Okay. Rachel, what about you?
I'd give it actually an overall average. I'd give it a B plus. Just because there was a lot of things that I was interested, like a lot, especially from the indie game showcase. Like I wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, about 15 games that I was interested in. About probably, I'd say about half of those I will actually end up buying. But it's still, it was a pretty solid one. Like, yeah, there was no like really big announcements, but it wasn't like they didn't want it to be, and they told us in advance that it wouldn't be. The only thing that shocked me was of course the Yakuza announcement at the end.
Anybody saw that coming.
I would not have guessed that in a million years, and I think it totally just took me out of my vibe as I was watching it. Then I started laughing because I didn't know how to react, and they're fun games. I've watched my friend played them, but like I just that to me was like, oh, that's a little weird to go on Switch. Not the weirdest thing I've seen on Switch. There's some weird crap on the eShop, but overall solid B plus. Like it put a lot of games on my radar that probably would not have been otherwise. So
okay. For me, I'd probably go with an average of a B as well. The Indie Direct had a few titles I liked, but not really as many. Like it was nice they had it, but the actual Partner Direct had a lot of really good stuff in there I enjoyed, specifically the fighting game collection, the announcements for Marvel vs. Capcom. Yakuza was just a weird surprise. The Tetris one immediately had me hooked because I'm excited about Tetris. That's a big thing in my family. That's how Amanda and I, when we were dating, used to settle arguments, because that was the one game she could beat my ass in easily. So it was like it kind of leveled the playing field. So there's always been Tetris in this house.
That's always nice.
Yeah, and it's been fun. So I've made it a thing to get her almost every version of Tetris I can get my hands on over the years. So, All right, so we'll jump into our last bit of news before the big question. I know we're going a little long tonight, but we had a lot to talk about. 2 directs is a lot. All right.
Damn.
Yeah. So who wants to talk about some PlayStation 5 Pro rumors? Because this has been just the secret that cannot stay quiet, but it makes no damn sense to me. And we'll talk about that. User Bill Kuhn has reported the next model is indeed called the PlayStation 5 Pro. That seems to be the moniker that Sony is sticking with, kind of like how Microsoft sticks with the X and S for their titles now for their different versions. Sony is, the numbered release and then the Pro model, it seems. The leaked drawings that have been coming out from this show it without a disk drive, and we don't know if either it will be compatible with the disk drive that the PS5 Slim model uses, which if that's the case, will require an online connection to register it, apparently as a licensing agreement.
Probably sell out immediately.
Yeah, so get that if you need it. Or if it will be digital only, maybe with a larger drive on the inside or something. Seems to be using the same controller, which makes sense. They didn't change the controller for the PS4 Pro. Why would they do it for this one? It's expected to be announced sometime mid-September. So we're looking at maybe sometime soon in the next couple weeks. I'm curious on the cost of it because I look at it where the PS5, I feel, hasn't really had that many big releases for it that are just PS5. And, they've recently had to raise the price in Japan by almost $90. That's the 3rd increase they've had to do. So how much is this Pro system going to cost them if they're still raising the price on the old model? Chase, go ahead.
Yeah, how much is it going to be in Australian dollars?
Yeah. Chase starts saving up now for sometime in 2 years.
He's doing some mental math with the
Yeah, he just seen with the fingers. I need toes.
Carry the 2.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm trying to remember what my missus paid for her PS5 over here.
I'm about to say, I'm wondering how much it is down there.
I think it's like $800 or $900.
Shit!
It's expensive. 700, 7 or 8. Yeah,
Jesus
something like
Christ.
that.
Why?
What is this? A CDI?
You just made everybody. You just made the 2 of them throw up in their mouth a little.
So I know what it's the import cost. It costs a lot of money to get things over there.
It's like I was talking about, I think last week's episode. It's currency conversion because over here, a new game costs $120, and if you take 70 US and you convert it to New Zealand, it's about 116. So it's just currency conversion.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Actually, I'm just gonna look it up real quick.
Visit New Zealand, you'll be a baller with $20 in your pocket.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you wanted a PS5, with the let's see, hang on a second, that's the Slim. I just want the regular.
I think it's just all they're gonna have is the Slim at this point. They stopped selling the regulars. Unless you get
if you want. Yeah, so it's about if you get say a PS5 with the disc drive and the extra DualSense controller, you're paying about $1,000.
Listen,
holy shit!
If it doesn't have the disc drive, I am going to hate. I'm going to start hating them.
I digress. So anyway, back to what we were originally talking about.
We're still in shock over the costs. Just, you got to take your time, Chris. Rachel and I will reboot in a minute.
I'm going to hate them without the disc drive.
The thing I was getting to is the fact that I just don't understand why we actually need this 0.5 console thing
to run Grand Theft Auto 6 at 60 frames.
Oh, that's
hang on a second.
There's an answer for this.
Oh, hold on.
There's an answer for this.
I gotta find where I put it.
Corporate greed.
Some of probably the 3 most popular games that are played is Fortnite, Genshin Impact,
Grand Theft
Roblox,
Auto Online.
Stuff that doesn't even need this generation hardware to play. I just don't understand. It's just.
So it's 1, corporate greed, but 2, profit margins. So somewhere in the like really big boardrooms at the top of the tall buildings for Sony and whatever, there's like, how can we make more money off this? With people didn't get the PS5 for whatever reason, and but they want one, but they're not sure. They want to, maybe they'll wait for the next one, and it's just a continuous cycle that they get them on the 0.5 version. And then there's developers out there who produce games that are made for the pro version, that'll run on the normal version, but they won't run as well. Or there's special editions so there's all these reasons to do one, because it gives them opportunity to do more special editions to therefore get more money, which circles back to corporate greed.
Yeah, but
I'm looking at my PS4 Pro Kingdom Hearts 3 special edition right now. So
yeah, my R2D2 360's in the other room. I can't say shit.
Yeah.
I think the other problem you run into, though, is you release the pro version, and now you have this issue where developers have to develop games that are going to be super amazing on the pro version, but then they still have to be able to work on the regular PS5.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already kind of seen that developers don't really like doing that.
No,
they like to release things with the minimal amount of work possible.
Yep.
Hence the reason why, unfortunately, Microsoft has found this out the hard way in some cases, where developers will just completely overlook the Xbox because they're like, we don't want to develop for the Series S. And it's like, rightly or wrongly, I'm not arguing that it's probably the right thing to do, but it's just more of a fact that it's just, to them, it's the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think
it's just weird.
I will say also from like
I've never heard of that before.
I will say from a technical standpoint too, like when these consoles came out, I don't know, 6 months later, a new particular component, just a very particular component, or a new another thing, something in the system, a newer version came out for. And it's not like you can just fix it the new one yourself. So what are they going to do? I mean, they feel like they're doing something for consumers while also doing something for themselves that is like a stepping stone between this console and the next, when really it just feels weird, especially with the disk drive situation.
What I think they need to do, and I think Nintendo has kind of proven why this works better, is they need to stop development for a while. I don't mean like stop making games, but Nintendo decided with the Wii, love it or hate it, we are just going to have a minimal change and just have technology and hardware that people know and make games for it. Mm-hmm. And we got the Wii. It sold like freaking crazy. Developers complained. Yeah, people complained, oh, it's not as powerful, it's not as good. But you still got some really good games on it because developers already had access to those tools and can go from there. Wii U definitely was a misstep for different reasons, but that led into the Switch, which is the weakest of all the systems right now, but the highest selling one, the one that's had the fastest turnaround on games, because right now games take so long. They are starting in the middle of the previous generation to try and make it to the next generation, if not the one after. We've seen games that have been that long in development because they're just so much shit they have to deal with.
They're still releasing games on PS4.
Yeah, they're still releasing them on PS4, and
there's like some exclusive coming out or something on PS4 soon that I'll have to look it up. That I was like, that's random.
Like they literally just announced Lollipop Chainsaw is coming to PS4, and Xbox One, and I was like, why? And then
why not?
And then EA is just like, we're not selling enough copies of our Jedi Survivor game, so it's coming to PS4 and Xbox One. And I was like,
Magical School We Don't Talk About did the same thing. The fighting game collections we've been talking about, like they're coming to Switch, but they're not coming to PS5 or any Xbox at all. They're coming to PS4 and just using backwards compatibility. So developers are trying to use it because they've already got such a market of people that have this hardware. And a lot of these games, like we talk about all these little details, there are a lot of people that own this hardware. I just knocked over that water bottle finally. That have this hardware that don't give a shit about that little bit of a difference of how it runs on a PS5 versus how it runs on a PS4. If they're just playing Madden or playing whatever, they're just going to get it and enjoy it. That's all they care about.
Yeah, that's all they care about.
But the cost of these. Oh, go ahead.
I will say if this PS4, PS5 Pro, whatever thing it is, if this PS5 Pro is a thing, oh my God, for the love of God, please include something, fix the memory issue. Like, that's all I want is an easier way to expand the hard drive.
Yeah,
that's
they
it.
dug themselves in a
Astrobot
hole.
wallpaper. Okay.
They dug themselves in a hole with that. Everyone was like, "Oh, the PS5 one is so much better because you can just get a drive off a store and put it in. It just has to match these certain criteria. It has to be this certain thing, and all that stuff. And once you do it, you're stuck. If you want another upgrade, you've got to double or at least increase the memory over what you got. That's part of why I like. I'm not trying to say Xbox versus PlayStation, but that's why I liked how Microsoft did it. Yes, they were kind of expensive, but I've got multiple 1 terabyte cards. I just hot swap. Like, the system's not even off. I just pull it out, put the other one in. They're smaller than a PS2 memory card. And it's like, hey, we're going to play this game. Oh, it's installed on this one. Give me 30 seconds and it's already done.
Yep.
Like, Sony should have done that. Like,
that's why I like the Switch in that respect, where you could hot swap it. You could do the exact same thing. Like, did I just get like a 2 terabyte Switch memory card? Yes, I did. But do I still have some other memory cards that I could use if I fill up the 2 terabytes? Yes, I can.
Yeah.
So,
and we don't know what Sony's going to do with this. Will if they do a 5 Pro, will it be the same internal memory? It'll probably be they'll probably expand what's built in, but the expandability, I don't see them putting a second port in there. That's a lot to deal with.
The last I heard is they're not changing anything of the insides, just making some things bigger at the end.
Yeah.
So that is their one downfall with this system, is the memory issues because of the install size of the game. I have had to delete so much stuff off of there just to like install Visions of Mana. And Visions of Mana isn't even that large of an install size. It's like 40 gigs.
Install Black Ops.
No, go ahead.
No, it's like install Black Ops 6. It's only 300 gigs.
Jeremy, what was that game that I showed you the install size? Oh, yeah, for PC, for Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, that was stupid. That was just stupid.
The memory isn't even like the size of the memory isn't even the only downfall of the PS5. Like, another one for me is just we live in this age of all these like peripherals that are made for consoles and stuff now, and you're gonna tell me that 3 USB ports is enough? Stuff like that.
Thank you. Too.
I mean,
they need like a hub or something available. You can do a lot off of a USB-C if they do it correctly. It's just they don't normally have it.
I only have one more.
You only have one more slot than a 7-year-old Switch.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why they just don't listen to their consumers. Like, I don't. What they think it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to listen to people.
I look at it this way: like the PS5, I like my PS5. It's not my favorite system, but it has actually been their favorite controller they've ever made. I like it better than the old ones for me personally. Because it's more Xbox-like, to be honest with you. But besides that, we're not getting enough games and enough put into the PS5 to really make it feel like it's a system. The PS5 and the Series X feel like we're just getting a PS4 and the Xbox One Part 2. We're just getting the weird sequel straight to video for that generation. It's not a new setup. It's such a weird misstep to me.
Until Helldivers 2, I didn't necessarily feel like there was a game that really I was like, oh yeah, this is why I got a PS5.
I will say, like, I'm a Sony girl. Y'all know this.
Yeah.
My Sony consoles are my RPG machines. That's what I play on them, is RPGs.
Everybody has their favorites.
If I want to play anything else, though, I have to delete so much stuff off there just to play something else. And then if I want to go back and play whatever game I deleted, I then have to reinstall. Save data is fine. All my DLC doesn't go anywhere. It's still fine. But it's just very.
Let me ask you this, Rachel. Has it become such a big of an issue that if you got a new RPG today and saw like I either have to delete a bunch of stuff or they give me the option to remove all voice acting and play it text only. Would you even consider that and be like, I could put it on there right now, text only old school, and just play it? Like,
I don't think I could, honestly.
okay.
But I will
curious.
I did rearrange things enough. Yes, my problem is what I do now is I have a hub and everything, and because I want to like stream stuff, sometimes I'll pick up an old PS4 game and I'll put it in my PS5 and I'll install it and I'll be like, oh yeah, this would be fun to stream. And then I don't end up doing that. I have to end up uninstalling it. That's my problem. Is it's more convenient for me to play my PS4 games on my PS5 if it'll run it, because it's right there. My PS4 Pro is over there. I could play it fine. It's all hooked up to my TV. I just need to, I don't know, get a separate capture card to connect to my hub. Yeah, but I don't know.
I gave you the only one I had.
It's all right. I can find another one.
So, yeah, I get it. Some people, and I find this really funny because, I look into a lot of the marketing and how people usually react to these announcements and different things, which I find interesting. And there was a whole debate when the PS5 and the Series X were announced and coming out. And, Microsoft's like, the Series X is the most powerful console. And Sony and then the players were just like, oh, power is not that big a thing. It's nothing. But now I'm seeing the PS5 Pro coming out. And they're like, that's going to be the most powerful system. They're like, yeah, now we're taking that line and we're going to run with it. And I was like, I find that ironic and kind of funny. But this thing is going, I cannot see it going for any less than $700-800, just because they already can't, like, they have some sales in the US, which that was everyone's argument when I started talking about the price increase of the PS5 in Japan that happened recently. They're like, that's Japan. I was like, we're not just, the United States is not the world, people. Just because it may not be happening here at the moment does not mean all these other places are having a problem. Ask X or Twitter how Brazil is going right now. They were completely removed from that country. Other things happen around the world.
You should see the number of I went on Blue Sky today, and a specific actor I like specifically made a account on there specifically because it has tons of fans in Brazil, and that's the only social media that they can get right now over there. And my feed, I haven't even been on Blue Sky in months, was filled with Brazilian stuff. So good segue though out of this whole topic and into something else.
Yeah, just thought it was kind of funny. So I'll just go around and ask everybody really quick. Steven, we'll start with you. For the PS5 Pro, do you think this is a good idea from Sony or just a dumbass idea from Sony?
If they want to start selling their disk drives, it's a great idea.
Fair enough. Chase, what about you?
I don't see the point. I don't like, but I'll also probably be the dumbass that'll end up buying one at some point. So,
God, I don't want to know how much it's going to cost you. Chris, what about you?
This is the first time that I haven't bought a Sony console over a game that I really wanted. So I'm not losing anything. I think it's a terrible idea, but they need something right now. The PS5 is possibly one of the worst selling home consoles out there, and they need something to bolster it. So,
Rachel, what about you?
Depending on the cost, I think it's dumb, but I'll wait till I hear the cost. And if it's over a certain amount, they might have priced me out for a little while.
I can see that. So
if there's a payment plan, I'm still going to buy it. But
for me, I think
might take out a second mortgage.
Yeah, for me, I think this is a dumb idea because the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X had a legitimate reason for existing. Yes, they were more powerful versions, but 4K TVs had become way more popular, and it became a format that people wanted to use both for movies and to at least upscale their games to. So it had a reason to exist, but did not negate a PS4 or a 1S. I don't see a reason of a PS5 Pro other than just we want to sell more systems and try and push that whole narrative of we're the most powerful system. I don't think there's games there that are going to warrant it. And by the time we get games that are going to warrant it, they're going to be onto the PS6 because they're already saying the PS5 is in the later part of its life already. So, don't know. All right, so we'll real quick jump to our last little bit here of the big question. And this will probably be a fairly quick one because I know we are having a very long show tonight, but it's been fun. So let's jump into that. All right, so the big question I have for tonight for you guys, how do you feel about the trend recently of digital titles releasing weeks or months before the physical ones instead of releasing day and date like we used to get a lot of the times? Steven, as a fellow big collector here, other than me, I'll start with you on this.
So for collections, I'll be like, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's retro collections of games we already know about, it's fine. But I do not like it at all for anything else because it's just sends out a dangerous precedent that if they make a lot of their money, which that's how they like to make it right off the bat, why are we wasting money on physical? And they can cancel it.
Yeah, that's true. Rachel, what about you?
I think it's something that they see as a benefit to consumers where, it's that they have a physical edition. It's already in production. It's just taking a while because making a physical copy of a game can be expensive, especially to small developers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a convenience more for consumers. I think it's weird. If the physical game comes out later, why not also release it digitally? That's been going on for years. Like digital and physical happening at the same time has been happening for years. But if you're gonna release it, if you're gonna say you're gonna release it physically, please stay to your guns. A lot of times, the digital editions when they come out, whatever they produce, whatever they earn from that, part of that actually goes to pay for the production of the physical game. Believe it or not.
Okay.
Sometimes they wouldn't be able to put out a physical game unless the digital game was done. So I think in some circumstances that's fine, but if developers are using it as an excuse not to put out the physical one, I think it just feels wrong to me. So stick to your guns.
Okay.
That's what I think.
All right. Chris, what about you?
Oh, I think it's bad because you're going to have people who just experience the game sooner, can post it on YouTube and enjoy the experience without the people who have physical. There's just going to be a disparity in enjoyment and someone's going to get spoiled. So I would rather they come out at the same time. But of course, it's going to be according to sales.
And that's why I think collections are okay because there's not really any spoilage there.
Right.
Fair.
Yeah, older games.
But a brand new game, you're going to get FOMO and you're going to get fear of spoilers.
Yeah, which is what happened recently with Star Wars Outlaws.
Or the Life is Strange where you got it 2 weeks early, so everybody found out everything.
Yep. Chase, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely prefer physical media, but I think the real thing is that I think publishers and in particular like Sony, Microsoft, maybe not so much Nintendo, but I think they would be more than happy to get rid of printing costs and to not have to worry about the extra cost in making physical media. So I think they I think what's happening is they're essentially punishing people that want to actually buy it physical, and maybe indirectly, but because they probably also look at it as, well, why should people that buy digitally have to wait for us to print the discs, ship everything, and all the other logistics stuff? That takes about 6 months, or roughly.
Yeah,
I think is what I've heard as a rough estimate. So it's like they probably look at it as, well, why are people that buy things digitally having to wait for people that buy it physically? I don't know. It's a really weird thing. I think they should just release day and date as they always have, but I don't know.
Okay. So for me, it's kind of like a double-edged sword on this. Like I get the point of if the digital releases first, you're going to have spoilers for people, especially for story-based things or games that are coming out. You know, people like to do that. They do it on purpose sometimes. It's a big thing to try and spoil whatever they can. But I also understand the fact of the time it takes to produce physical. You're going to have your gold master done, which is going to be your release game. So you've got that ready to go while you're making those cartridges. You know, certain instances make sense. The fighting collection, things like that. I'm kind of okay with it. Castlevania kind of sucks that I'm having to wait for the physical versions, but at least we're getting one. And sometimes I just double dip because the cost isn't too bad.
Yeah.
And it's not like I don't already know what's happening in those games. I've played all 3 of them already. You've got the reverse of it where I'll be told a game is digital only, like The Medium or Psychonauts 2 or Alan Wake 2, where I have gone through and like, well, I'll go ahead and get it digitally because that's the only way, which I'm glad I waited on Alan Wake. And then later find out, which might be what you were talking about, Rachel, where the sales finally metered enough to make a physical copy, but they finally made a disc for Psychonauts 2, which I ended up double dipping to get. And they did that for the Medium, which I've been trying to find.
I'm doing it with Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. I've bought these games 4 or 5 separate times now over the years. Like, it's just sometimes that's just what happens. But I think it's you know, this. I think it's a situational opinion. Like, I think, you know, it coming out and then later coming out in physical situationally, it can be weird. Like, if a developer uses it as an excuse not to put out the game physically once they've already said that they are going to, that's bad. All of these like digital collections for retro games, you want to just do that digitally? That's fine. We've probably already have it physically at least once before, whatever. Yay, the devs getting more money for a job well done. Also good. But then, like I said, sometimes the digital game sells so well that it pays for a physical edition. And that's good too. It's just it's a situational thing.
I think if they're going to do that, they should announce that a physical edition is coming at some point. Saying it's going to be digital only, then releasing it feels kind of dirty, like you're double dipping in a certain way. And I get sometimes they're like, hey, we were able to do this through like limited run or super rare or whatever.
Yeah. I think if they want to do a physical edition, but they don't know if they can because
they can't really announce
money, they need to say, hey, we're releasing this digitally on this day. If it does well enough, we may also follow up with a physical edition. But that needs to be very upfront.
Yeah, because there's no win or there's no way it's a catch-22 with that, because people won't buy the digital because they're waiting for the physical, but they won't get the physical because not enough people bought a digital, and that's such a weird.
Well, that's why they say that's to say we can't commit to a physical edition at this time, but we might be able to produce it later. But there's no guarantee. It all depends on how the digital game goes. But a lot of times too, when it comes out physically later, there's additional content, like as a kind of like a reward for nice. People. That's and then sometimes I'm trying to think of there was one instance, and I don't remember the game it was, but if you bought it digitally and then you played it and whatever, and you got the physical edition, yes, there were some bonuses in there that they added in later. If it registered that you had the digital edition, it gave you even more additional stuff. So sometimes they really make it worth the player's while to do that. But I think that's a really good dev when they do that. That's one that's not completely staunched in corporate greed. So
I don't know how I feel about that one, but go ahead, Steven.
To put a button on the whole topic, I would just like to say that in a weird turn of events, Doom 1 and 2 on cart do not get the upgrade.
Yeah,
which is a weird one. Yeah, I only got the upgrade on Switch because I had bought them digitally before the physical ones come out.
And Batman Arkham Trilogy, in a weird turn of events, even though you have to download the other Arkham games, you always have to have the card in the system to play the downloaded Arkham games.
Huh.
Yeah, That's the checkbox. Borderlands
only game that does that
That's
has
so
downloadable
weird.
versions.
Mm.
Only game.
That's so weird.
Because it downloads them off the cart or something like that. So
Weird. I think
It's like a weird
with this
license
upcoming
thing.
generation, Nintendo has already said they're continuing with physical media. They're going to keep doing the carts and things that they do for theirs because they have such a wide age of audience. Like for kids or younger people, cartridges just make more sense. And then for us older collectors, we like those as well. Sony and Microsoft are both trying to push for digital, which is why I kind of believe the PS5 Pro won't have a disc drive. It may have the option for an additional one, but they're not going to make it the default because they want to try and bring that price down. I still think it's going to be super expensive even without the disc drive, but it'll just be, people are going to have to hunt that damn thing down now.
So stupid.
And knowing them, it'll probably be a different release than the one we have now. Something will be a little bit different. You have to get the PS5 Pro disc, not the PS4 or PS5 one. So, all right. Well, I think we have made it pretty far into the show, and I think it's about time to wrap it up. Sorry it's taken so long tonight, guys. We had a lot to talk about, and I still wanted to at least get our big question in there. But if you want to listen to this show, if you're watching the video version, search for the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review or whatever system they have. Let us know about it. We'd love to hear from you on those. Share it with people. If you're listening to it and you'd like to see the video version, go to youtube.com/ZenspathCom. Leave us a thumbs up, subscribe. That way you can see any of the other videos we put out as well, including our extra quarters and other bonus content, as well as leave a comment, answer your answer to the big question so we can talk about it with you. If you want to talk to us directly, go over to our Discord at bit.ly/ZenspathDiscord to join the group and talk to us directly there. All of our social media stuff is either going to be down in the notes on the audio version or down below the episode on the video version. So you can talk to us on our varied social medias while they're still here and have not burned down the rest of the world. But with that said, this has been episode 141 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast, and we're out. Peace.
if you made it to the end, sorry, no Silk Song.
Yeah.
Caveman
Aw.
fire, big stick.